This show is a production of the Best in Tabletop Network. Be your best in every aspect of your game. Find us wherever you find your podcasts, or check us out on YouTube for more Bat Reps podcasts and shows. If you like what we're doing, you can join our Discord through the Best in Tabletop Patreon group, or our YouTube members only area where you'll get access to our entire library of content. Thank you for listening.
Welcome to Best in Faction,
the next generation, the podcast where we've run out of funny things to say at the beginning.
I'm Tyler.
I'm Nick. And I'm Lucas.
And today we are joined by a very special guest coming all the way from 6 blocks from my house. It is
Ian. That's me. Yeah.
Welcome to the pod, Mr. Ian Swallow. Today we are bringing you something very special, something very exciting, a little bit sinister. We've got a big tournament on the horizon, the Bay Area Open. But seeing as how we just did a big tournament, we did the Seattle Open, and we sort of went the traditional route. We talked about what we were bringing. We talked about how we were going to do. We went in. We came, we saw, we conquered. We came back. We told you all about it. We're still going to tell you all about it after we do well. Assume we do well. If we do poorly, we'll tell you about that instead. But we're also going to do something a little bit different this time. You see, Ian over here, good friend of the pod, a friend of mine and of Lucas's, is very much on the front end of his 40K career. He is, for all intents and purposes, the everyman. Ian, you want to tell us a little bit? You got slides for this, don't you? So we'll hear a little bit more about what Ian's up to later. But he's going to be joining us at the Bay Area Open and also at an RTT tomorrow, which will be his first ever multi-day tournament. Is that correct, Ian?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Fantastic. So that's going to be awesome. Y'all are going to want to hear about his story as much as ours. And today we're going to be coaching him through. We're going to do a little bit of man versus matchup. We're going to do a little bit of list review. And I think we're going to have a whole bunch of fun in the process. So let's get our slides up and running and get started. Today's episode is entitled Fresh Meat for obvious reasons. But before we jump into any of this stuff, we do have other people on this podcast. How you doing today, Lucas?
I'm doing great. I think this is our first show on a Friday. I feel like Friday shows are so much fun. I think we did
it's a good time.
2 more days of us of the weekend. Yeah, I'm feeling great, man. 40K has been going well. I got some games in this week. Played against New Knights. That was spooky. And lots of other things going on. So we'll have plenty of time to talk about that today. Because we've got a little orc reviews section where I'm going to be talking about all things orc since we haven't heard from me in a couple weeks. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
Good stuff. How about you, Naj? What's going on over on your side of the apartment?
It's pretty clean over here. I'm feeling pretty good. Again, Friday, excited. Wrapped up the work week well. Went well. Trying to think of what else. I also played in the New Knights. That's what I was gonna say. I played in the New Knights, and our games went the complete opposite that we expected them to go, which was very interesting. So I feel like I got a pretty good game plan into Knights going into BAO, which excites me because they were kind of like a bit of a enigma.
Were y'all playing into Imperial or Chaos?
Imperial
Knights. Yeah, no Chaos Knights fans around here. Well, except for Tanner, but he's busy.
Yeah. I'm real scared of Chaos Knights, man. Imperials, I feel like I have some pretty good plans for, but Chaos does some stuff. It's going to be wonky. So
I am not looking forward to the Ignore Invuls guy because that's all I have.
Yeah. All right. So with that all out of the way, let's jump right into episode 12? My gosh. We're doing this for too long. All right. Excellent. So we'd like to welcome to the podcast Mr. Ian Swallow. I think that was a GIF, and it appears to not be GIFing. So welcome, Ian. Ian, how are you doing? How are you doing tonight, Ian?
I mean, I'm doing fine. I have no idea what we're talking about. Like, I kind of just got invited to come on this, and I'm like, yeah, sure, dude. Like, why not? I don't got anything else to be doing. I just finished my school semester, so like, I ain't got much to do, you know. And now I'm here, and I'm gonna get made fun of by like what hundreds, if not thousands of people. Let's go.
Very nice, very nice. That's what we do here. We make fun of people for not being good at the game.
Shit.
Just
Unlucky.
absolutely hardcore rail on you. All right. So, it looks like Notch has gone ahead and prepared these slides ahead of time. He's got a couple of questions for Ian. Nick, you want to take Ian through his first question?
Yeah, first question. So Ian, nice to meet you. I have a question for you. If your credit card number was translated to a dollar amount, how many dollars would you have? Very simple question.
Yeah, let me go ahead and get my credit card out real quick. That's
all right. For real this time. Welcome, Ian. There's a question that we kind of went through this at the beginning of the show. We all like talked about our little journey into 40K. And I mean, people love hearing about it. I love hearing about it. I love telling people how I got into 40K, but we want to know how you got into 40K.
Yeah, so I think Tyler and Lukas both started playing 40K when we were like in middle school. We were like, I don't know, 8th grade or so. And I was not a part. I mean, I was friends with them at that point, but I didn't really play 40K with them like at all until like, I don't know, sophomore year. I went to Lucas's house at some point and he just had like these 40K figures. I'm like, all right, yeah, cool. And they just gave me some and we played like apocalypse battles like on Christmas or like New Year's. And that was like my only experience with 40K. And then I lived with Lucas for a year in senior year, and I got, funnily enough, I got a Necrons Codex, and that didn't go over so well. I did, I played some Necrons for like the year. It wasn't really like a huge deal, and then it kind of died out there. And then COVID hit, and then everybody got on TTS. And I'm much more partial to playing games on my computer. So once everything got onto TTS, I was able to actually start playing the game like actually for real this time, and I started, learning how to play the game for real, and that's kind of like how I got myself into 40K. And ever since COVID hit, I don't know. I guess I've been playing it more and more as time goes on, and I think now I understand it probably better than I ever have, which isn't saying much. Like the bar is like super super low, but like that's kind of where I'm at right now with my 40K career.
Awesome.
For sure, yeah. So you're coming in on the front end. Have you been to any events yet?
Yes, I've been to what, 3? Yeah. 3, maybe 4 events actually. I think 2 in Gamescape, where we live. I don't know if everybody else knows where we live, but yeah, I've been to 2 right around where I live, and then well, I've been to 4 actually, if you count Antioch.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we've taken you around to a couple of RTTs over the course of actually multiple editions. We had you playing Tau in 8th Ed. We had you playing Tau in 9th Ed as well. Have you played Tau at every event you've been to?
No, I played Thousand Suns at Antioch.
Oh yeah, okay.
And I went 2-1 there, and you beat my ass when we were 2. And it was my chance to go undefeated, dude. And then you beat my ass at the end.
How it always goes.
Yeah, I think Ian and I, like most of the tournaments that we've taken him to, I've had to play him in round 3 and just put him back in his place. So he's coming to the School of Hard Knocks.
It's so unlucky. It's unreal, and your list like hard countered the shit out of mine too, bro. Like this game sucks.
Ian, don't worry, dude. At BAO, the odds of that happening are so much smaller.
I guarantee it's going to happen.
If it happens,
0%.
Just off me now, dude. Off
All
me
right.
now.
Cool. So one other thing that I wanted to cover before handing this back to Nick for your next question. We talked a little about how you got into 40K. I think it's worth noting to talk a little bit about your some of your background in competitive gaming, that you're not walking off the street here without a more competitive mindset going in. Could you talk a little bit about some of your history there?
Yeah. So I played a lot of League of Legends. People give me shit for it, but I hit Challenger.
Entirely deserved shit, to be clear.
Yeah, to be fair, League of Legends players, they're weird. They're weird. But I hit like top 300 in the server. I tried to go pro for a little bit. Didn't work out, but I did get some money playing the game. So I mean, hey, you win some, you lose some. Aside from League, I've hit Champ in Rocket League. Diamond in Valorant. Nothing like too great, but I hit Legend in Hearthstone. That's also degenerate. Let's go. Yeah, so just I don't know. I'm pretty good at games in general. I wouldn't say I've like ever really been the best, but I don't know. I think I do have a good head on my shoulders when it comes to like understanding how games are played and where the strategy is.
Awesome, cool. Let's move on to what Nick's got prepared next for you.
Yeah, I was gonna say too. It sounds like you have that desire to like do well, which is important. So yeah, I mean, something that's really important, or something that's really exciting. People love hearing about your favorite factions. I know you mentioned Necrons. I've heard a little mention of Tau, T-Suns. What are your favorite factions to play? Like, what do you find yourself consistently returning to?
Thousand Suns. I've always liked Thousand Suns more than anything else. I started playing Necrons, and I guess it was like fun at the time, but like it's never really worked out. Partially because I don't know, I just didn't want to invest the amount of money. And then I don't know, I came back and I told Lucas like, look, what's the most like mage army, you know? Because I'm coming from League, you know, I want to be the mage. And he says, well, it's either going to be Thousand Suns or it's going to be Grey Knights, depending on whether you want to play Chaos or not. And so I said, just give me Thousand Suns. And so I've been playing on TTS. I've played a lot of Grey Knights and I played a lot of Thousand Suns, but I found Thousand Suns to just be more fun, partially because Magnus. Magnus is just like a lot of fun for me to run. Um, so yeah, Thousand Suns is definitely the list I play the most. I have played a bit of Tau here and there, just because Tyler has an extra Tau list, and I didn't have like a real life Thousand Suns list. So whenever we'd go to like any real life tournament, Tyler would just give me his Tau list, and then I'd play Tau.
Makes sense. I mean, that answers the second question. That's what you are currently playing. So you have your own real T-Suns army now?
I currently have some models. I still need a brick of 10 Terminators, but other than that, oh, and DP or Demon Prince. But other than that, I think I have like every model actually that I need. I just need to paint them, which is half the problem.
Yeah, we're getting in there. One of the things that I really wanted to take an opportunity to talk about here, and something that I think is really important if you are in this position where you're sort of, you know, you're the new guy in the crew, you're trying to break into the scene, you're trying to, you know, get into the game, is just how useful it can be to play a lot of Borrowhammer. It is really hard to get a 2,000 point army up and running from the ground up. Like, Ian has been on the periphery of this game and is finally like, I want to do this thing for a while. And he like doesn't have a full 2K painted army yet, because who does? It's it's very, very challenging to get that all up and running, especially from scratch, especially while trying to adapt to an ever-changing meta, and the meta moves at the speed of light right now. So instead of that, we've got two different Thousand Suns armies that Ian is falling back on. We got a buddy of ours up in Portland and a buddy of ours down in California, both of whom have Thousand Suns, both of whom are offering up loans. And Ian has taken great advantage of that. And it's allowed him to practice this a lot and to play with things that he might not otherwise get a chance to play with, while he accumulates that army. And that is like 2 thumbs up from Best in Faction. That is the number one recommendation for how to get into the game. Start playing immediately, because that's what's going to motivate the hobby. If you don't think you can play a game until you have all your stuff built and you want to play competitive, so like Crusade isn't for you, Kill Team's not for you, you want to play 2K right now, borrow an army. Playing the army will make you want to do the hobby. Hoping that you will someday get to play is not going, like, that can only get you so far in my experience. You're going to burn out real fast, and you're not going to end up with models that you like to play with. So borrow stuff, make your stuff look pretty. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah. I think I played for like 8 months before my army was fully painted, and I bounced around between a few armies. And when I finally like settled on a list, I was like, I don't know how to paint. So like my buddies helped paint my stuff quickly so I could come to tournaments with them. It was great.
Yeah.
So. Couldn't agree more.
Awesome. Cool. Let's move on over. So,
disappointing.
You see this and you say disappointing?
Well, literally none of my things worked.
Well, I'll tell you what's disappointing. There's only one Goff on this.
Yeah.
All
for those of you all listening and not watching in, this is time for the Orc Update! And we have a very cool Orc slide here with Gaz and a bunch of battle wagons and stuff. There's checkerboard on this blue thing, Lucas. I know it's blue, but it's checkerboard.
Filthy blue, dude. Get that out of here.
Yeah, there's no Goff wagons. They don't expect you to play them if you're Goffs.
Awesome. Cool.
Right.
Well, Lucas, you want to take us through what's going on in the world of Orcs right now?
Yeah. So I've played a couple more games. I guess the last time I talked about Orcs was like maybe like a month or a month and a half ago now. So it's been kind of a while. I usually iterate my list really slowly, but I've made a couple of changes since then, and what I've ended up on really all hinged from the idea that Beast Snagga Boys were just the same thing as Storm Boys, but way slower and not with the fly keyword. So I really wanted more Storm Boys in my list, was basically what I'm getting at. You know the whole thing about Eldar being uninteractable and like the fact that they're super squishy, but you never get to shoot them? Yeah, Stormboys go 21 inches and then charge with a reroll. And they can ride inside of a wagon that's toughness 8, -1 damage against less than strength 8, you know, all the things I've been talking about for the last 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So like they can be really hard to kill. So they mess up Eldar, and in not Eldar games, they just deep strike for free. They do hella objectives, they move really fast, they can still beat up a screening unit. Just Stormboys are great. And in the vast majority of cases, they hit the same, like, you know, they hit with the same power as Beast Naga Boys. So I wanted more Stormboys in my list. I've got 20 in there now. I downgraded to Orrible Gets Gretchen to make the disembark casualties a little less painful. And another thing I did was I dropped the Weird Boy, mostly because playing into Grey Knights felt really sad that I wore the Witch. So you can see my list here. I've got the same 4 characters: Gaz and the Bike Boss for punching, Makari and KFF for healing and staying alive. We got 20 Poop Grots, 20 Stormboys, 17 Meganobs, 8 Piggies, and 3 T8 wagons.
To be clear, by Poop Grots, you mean Orrible Gets?
I mean Orrible Gets Gretchen.
What do Orrible Gets do? For those that aren't familiar?
They hit you and the opponent with a 3-inch aura of -1 to hit with ranged weapons.
Wait, what?
Yeah, when you're within 3 inches of them, you have -1 ballistic skill or -1 to hit.
That's not how you're playing them.
They're like stinky. They're horrible. Yeah. They clean the toilets, so that's why they're called Poop Grots.
Yeah, they like.
Wait, so you put this squad next to a squad of tank busters, and the tank busters hit on 6s?
Correct.
But then why are you running them? What makes them good?
They're obsec, and they're super cheap.
Okay.
Yeah, and they also fill out the patrols. They ride in the wagons.
Yeah, it's a lot
amount of stuff you can do with these guys.
It's a lot nicer when you lose 5 Poop Grots to disembark instead of 5 Beast Nagas.
Or 5 Meganobs, lol.
Yep.
Yeah, so this is where I'm at. It's still the same old thing. Wall of orc punchiness running at you. Still messes up like a few armies in the game. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good going into BIO.
And funnily enough, I remember you found some extra slots in your wagon recently because you reread the data sheet, right?
Well, I didn't reread the data sheet. That one Goff guy, Goff dude you played at Seattle, read the data sheet. But
yeah, so Lukas was going around for a while trying to be like, do I have ard cases or not ard cases? Like, how do I fit more guys in my wagons? And then I played a guy at Seattle that's like, I can put 20 with an ard case. And I'm like, nah, bro, that's wrong. Like, I play against my roommate all the time, and he always can only put 12. Nope, on the data sheet right there, it doesn't say anything about a limit anymore.
I was literally remembering a 7th edition rule.
Yeah.
The rule's 2 books old, and I still had it in my head.
So, but the wagons are back.
So yeah, I'm cramming with Stormboys and Meganobs and wagons, and we're zooming.
Alrighty. So, okay, cool. Well, that's a list. And it looks like here we got, for our YouTube viewers, a couple of photos of some paint jobs of yours.
Yep. So there's Gaskell on the Stormboys. I love Stormboys. They're probably like my 4th favorite orc kit. And some converted bomb squigs with ridiculous missiles strapped onto them. So I've got those back in the list. There's some of my cooler Meganobs with their giant shield conversions. And then that battle wagon's the 3rd wagon I'm bringing to BAO, so I don't have to proxy anymore. And it's in the process of being painted right now. But I built that out of some tank holes that Peter Venner gave me. Thanks, Peter, for the loan of Imperial gubbins. And then on the next slide, Beast Boss is in the list. These are some things that I've been thinking about putting in the list. I guess the middle orc there is a KFF mech. He's definitely staying in the list 100%. But various additional bosses to counter certain matchups were things that I've been thinking about. Haven't really decided on it yet. Just decided to go with what I'm more comfortable with, which is Gaskell. But definitely thought about some war bosses, and there's some of my favorite models.
Awesome. Cool. So looks like the next thing that we got lined up here is a quick roundtable. How are y'all feeling about BAO? Let's start with you, Nick.
Oh, how am I feeling? I'm excited. Like, this is the 2nd big event I've ever been to. I think it's the 3rd 6+ round event I've ever been to. So that'll be super cool. And also like riding on the tail end of GW Seattle. I'm excited to do better than I did at that tournament. What is it? I think at first I was like, I'm just going to go to BAO and see how I do. But now I'm like, my goal is top 8. Like, that's a great goal to shoot for. If I don't make it, I don't make it. But I'm, not going to give up till it happens. So I'm hyped.
Hell yeah. How about you, Lukas?
Man, orcs are other people's pulse of how orcs were doing was much better than mine when the armor condemn change happens. They are not in a very good spot. They can just get shot and killed by like basically everyone. But I'm still just coin flipping games trying to go first. So, 6 rounds, 3-3. You win 50% of the coin flips. Let's go.
Dude, 50% of the time it works 100% of the time. Just go first on only the games that matter.
That's orky math, baby. Let's go.
Oh yeah. How about you, Ian?
In all seriousness, I'm thinking 4-2 will probably be where I land up. If I go 5-1, I'll be very happy.
This is exactly what Lukas said about LVO, and y'all know how that went. So we'll see what happens. Awesome. And how about you, Ian? This is your first multi-day event. How are you feeling on the front end?
I wouldn't say I'm like so much nervous as I just don't exactly know what I'm doing. I mean, I say that like I feel like I'm okay at the game, right? Like I most tournaments I've gone to, I think like I average like 2-1 probably, like maybe just below 2-1. So I wouldn't say that I'm like bad at the game, but I also have only played like 2 games since the Armor Contempt update. So I am like completely out of the loop when it comes to like what's meta. I haven't played against knights. I've played one game against Tau. I have not played against new nids like yet at all. I'm like completely out of. I haven't played against Eldar for like literally a year at this point. Like literally, other than that one game with Jackson Taylor, but you guys know exactly how that one went. That one is funny. So yeah, like I'm completely out of the loop. I don't know what I'm getting myself into. So that's kind of where I'm at. I don't really know what to really expect.
Well, have we got a show for you?
Oh shit!
Cue the VeggieTales theme song. All right,
Tyler, what about you? How are you feeling about BAO? You can't get away from this question that easily.
Man,
you just already accepted your winning? Come on.
I mean, that feels like kind of an easy joke. At Seattle, there were 2 players playing NIDs who were better players than I am, which are Alex and John. Neither Alex nor John are coming, and there are no other NID players in the continent who I would confidently say are like definitely better than I am. Like, there's a lot of really good ones, but like, there's no one that I'm like, oh, there's no way I'm going to handle that. So the field seems wide open to me, and I feel like I'm in a pretty good situation to capitalize on it. Goal is definitely go as far as I can. If I drop more than one game, I'll be a little bit disappointed in myself. I'll have some good reflection time, but Tyranids are still busted as hell, and I am here to capitalize on it as much as I possibly can. So I'm shooting for gold, that's for sure.
All right. Hopefully we dodge each other on the way to that bracket.
Yeah, absolutely. What 4 of the top 8 right here. I'm calling it right now. And then we'll all immediately pair into each other, and then we'll be 2 of the top 4, guaranteed.
And then Ian will beat you.
Yep.
Oh, he'll do it too.
Dude, imagine if I get the highest placing out of everybody in this call, bro. Y'all will be so salty.
Nah, dude.
Yeah,
that's just how it goes.
Yeah, if you finish top of the 4 of us, you'll be back on to tell us about it next week. So
let's go.
All right, cool. So, what do you got for us next, Nick?
All right, yeah. So we got a nice little orc update from Lukas, which was great because we haven't heard from him in a little bit. It's nice to see what he's cooking up in that mech shop. But Tyler, I know a lot of people are really excited to hear about what adaptations you're making to your list since the NIDS FAQ. Some people think, are NIDS done? Are they like, do they actually have to play the game now? How are you going to bring in this new era of NIDS?
Yeah, so if the question was, do NIDS actually have to play the game now? The answer is definitely not. Definitely just don't have to, because why bother? I didn't get the meme in here. Oh, that great meme. There's that great Simpsons meme of where the bartender throws the dude out of the bar and then he shows up behind him.
Yep.
That's kind of the situation with Encircle the Prey. Encircle the Prey is gone, but Invisible Hunter is still here. So lictors can still do the Encircle the Prey thing. This is a fun fact. If you didn't know that, now you know. Mm-hmm. Which means that Death Leaper just went from like almost an auto-include in my mind to definitely an auto-include. So unfortunately, it means the Parasite is out for the moment. We'll see how this RTT goes. There's a part of my brain that's like, I want both. Because, if as anyone who has listened to even like one of the last 5 episodes of the show knows, the Parasite of Mortrex is my favorite thing in the Tyranid Codex. The Gestation Sack is the coolest relic in the game. So pulling those out of the list feels kind of bad, but so it goes. Obviously, Maliceptors aren't what they used to be. I think the correct number of Maliceptors is now not 2. I think it's 0, 1, or 3, but it's not 2. I want to try 3. I think that's might be sleeper, but for the moment, I'm going to go with 1. So we cut 1 out, and then we got 170 points, and then we find 10 points somewhere else, and we slot in 6 Pyrovores, because Pyrovores are the dumbest data sheet in the Tyranid Codex. I would have brought them to Seattle, but they hadn't arrived yet. So I have 9 Pyros now. 6 of them are coming with me. Probably to BAO, definitely tomorrow. And then the other thing that changed with the FAQ that was big, obviously no more double heavy Venom Cannon Tyrant. It'd be very easy to just drop that guy or swap him for a Harpy or something. I'm going to switch him down to the mixed loadout, go for heavy Venom Cannon and Lashbone. It's mainly because I refuse to give up my to the last, even though the Hive Tyrant is the Flyrant at least is much more vulnerable now. I never lost him, and I very rarely encircled him, other than for like a psychic play. Like I would have him go out, strangle, psychic interrogation, and then leave. But I wasn't sending him in and then bouncing very often. I just didn't need to. And I'd rather him stay on the table to threat project, because that's what he's actually here for. So he can threat project into the last just fine.
Are you investing any more into the Walkrin? Are you going to take the Maw Claws of Thyrax?
Yeah. So the Walkrin goes Lashbone, Heavy Venom Cannon, Maw Claws of Thyrax, Adrenal Glands, and keeping direct guidance, because that's fantastic. So that's a big thing. And then here's the other real big headline change. I am switching to Kraken.
Interesting.
That is the current thought. That's not locked in yet. If you see me at BAO playing Leviathan, don't punch me in the face over it. I'm not locked in. But I'm playing Kraken tomorrow because I want to try it out. Because oh man, do I love going fast. Oh, it's spicy. Kraken obviously has the stratagem to auto advance 8, which is like most of the reason you play the faction. Which means that when I'm not taking to the last, the Flyrant's threat range becomes 25 and charge. Not dice, not average. Literally 25 and charge.
It's pretty good.
Which, as Nick knows, is a good threat range. So that's real spicy. Ravener's going flat 20 and then charging with Onslaught. Incredible. The extra pip of AP is super saucy into things like Thousand Suns, which I'm really concerned about. Bumping both my Hive Tyrants Bone Swords up to AP 5 means that they're just going to cut down Scarab Occults left and right, which is fantastic. The Ravs going up to AP 5, also real saucy. But also, the thing I'm really excited about is how fast it means that Gargoyles go. Gargoyles are other than the Parasite, Gargoyles might even be more than the Parasite, my favorite unit in the Tyranids book right now, because of all of the overrun and advance and charge and overrun and steal primary shenanigans. It's going to be so much fun. And now they'll go 20. So it's 20, charge, pile, console, 12.
Very cool.
So we're talking 32 plus 6, 38 inches. I'm going to go hold that objective that's 38 inches away from me right now, plus 2d6 for the charge. So like average 45. And then if you, I don't have the Parasite, but if you have the Parasite and you activate a Synaptic Imperative, it's another 6. So it's average 51 inches to put OBSEC somewhere.
Seems very strong.
It's everything that I love about the game. So That's real exciting to me. Also, if you're going to play Pyrovores, I think Kraken Pyros are just way better than Levy Pyros, because 20 and then Flamer at 18. Sorry, not 20.
13.
13 and then Flamer at 12. Yeah. At 18. 13 and then 18. So Flaming Threat at 31 inches.
Yeah.
Like that's not what you think of when you think of a Flamer unit.
I had to play against Kraken Pyros, and they were much scarier than they would have been if they were Levy.
Exactly. And also, if you are playing Kraken and you don't really need the +1 charge, sticking on to the everybody advances D3 plus 3 is just super saucy for your go turn. You go boom, and everyone is halfway across the table. Black Templar players can tell you just how strong an army-wide advance at D3 plus 3 is. So I'm excited to try this all out. We'll see what happens. I'm going to miss my Levy spell. I love that spell dearly, but I think we're going to do just fine without it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would do unspeakable things for advanced D3 plus 3. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
I think you punched yourself in the face last night over that.
I did. Just thinking about it.
All right. Well, GW, if you're watching and you want some favors, just you know what to do for Lucas. Awesome. So we're gonna jump into the list that that Ian and I are running at this.
Yeah. We'll cover it then. I mean, you covered what you were kind of talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna jump right on into the these lists for the RTT. So I basically already mentioned all the changes, but for listeners, I'll run through what the list is that I'm playing tomorrow. It's 4 Tyrant Guard with Adrenals. That keeps them over 170, so they're still to the last. Neuro with Tendrils and the Resonance Barb. We got a Flyrant with the Reaper of Obliterax. 10 Gargs, 5 Warriors, 3 Warriors. We got Death Leaper with that OBSEC 5 Warlord trait. It is the one that comes with him, if you want to give him a Warlord trait. We got a single Maliceptor, 3 Pyros, 3 Venom Thropes, 3 Zone Thropes, only 5 Raveners. If I get my hands on some more Ravener models, they'll probably come in and replace the Zone Thropes, but for the time being, we just got 5 Ravs, 2 Biovores, and then that Walker with Heavy Venom Cannon Lashbone, and the Maw Claws and Direct Guidance, and then 10 more Gargs rounds out the list.
Very cool.
So that's what we got going on here. So we'll click it over to what Ian's got. Ian, you want to tell us a little bit about your Thousand Suns list?
Yeah, sure. It's honestly, I think it's pretty stock standard at this point. There might be like little few things that might not be like super normal, but I guess the big one being is that I'm going to be running Magnus. So I am running Magnus just because I think that he's honestly the coolest model. He's the most fun model for me to run, and I don't really care if he's like super 100% viable. I'm going to be running him, so that's kind of why I'm running him. And I'm going to be running Armin. Kind of feels like he's almost a must-have in most Thousand Suns lists. He's just like so good for the points. 3 casts is just like kind of nutty, especially since he's only like I think 160 points. Like that's just take him. Demon Prince. Normally I haven't been taking Demon Princes, but Lukas and Tyler came to me and they were like, "Yo, there's this guy who did really, really well, and he had a Demon Prince in his list." And so then I don't know. I took a look at it, and it's like, okay, well, he's doing Strength 10. He's like 8 attacks, 9 attacks, and he's dealing 3 damage flat. It's like, okay, well, this guy kind of just shreds up anything that he gets into melee with. That's actually like some pretty valuable counter charge. The alternative is to take like an Exalted Sorcerer on a disc or something, and I mean, you'd be paying what, like 20-30 points less to get that. So you're really only paying like 20-30 points to get something that's like absolutely devastating in melee. That's why I'm taking him. Taking an Infernal Master mostly just to buff up some of these Scarab Occult Terminators. I have a 2x5 squad, 2 squads of 5 rubrics, mostly just for OBSEC purposes and just holding objectives, maybe mutate landscape, stuff like that. 10 cultists because I ran out of points. I would have rather had them be rubrics, but oh well. And yeah, the 2 big bricks of Scarab Occult Terminators. In my experience, they're really god dang tanky. They do a lot of work. They honestly do more work than Magnus point for point. So, I mean, if one of them did really well, why not just take 2? Like that's the idea. That's the thought process.
Yeah. So 2 big things I want to point out here, what Ian was talking about that I think are like, I really want to make sure that we have as many like very clear teachable moments for people on the front end of 40K. Number 1 was borrow models. Number 2 was what Ian was saying about Magnus. Magnus is an interesting decision. We'll talk more about Matthew Ali's list and the relation to this one in a sec. Matthew Ali thinks that Magnus is a 400-point liability. He doesn't think that he's the correct take for the army. I'm curious what he'll do at some future events. But like Magnus is not ideal. He's just not. Like that's the reality. And yet, Magnus is the coolest frickin' thing ever. And he is the thing that makes Ian get out of bed and want to come play 40K so he can put his giant demon Primarch on the model and go mess some people up with it. If that is the thing that you are excited about, don't let anybody tell you not to play it. That goes for Maggie, that goes for Morty, that goes for Knights, that goes for Shadow Swords, that goes for whatever your thing is that you think is the coolest thing on the table. The Silent King, with Nick's case, absolutely. That goes for orcs as a faction for Lukas. Like, orcs are not good. If a new player came up to me and was like, "Hey man, I'm thinking about playing orcs," I would tell him to play literally anything else. Play guard. You'll do better. But it's the thing that Lukas loves, so he's playing it. He's making it work. If you love hordes, play the horde, Lukas has stepped away from that because he loves winning a little bit too much, but I'm not worried about Lukas's motivation in this game. He kind of got a little bit of a problem. So, play the thing that you love. And then the third thing, which is like almost entirely opposite, but still like very, Ian's doing both of them, Netlist, for the love of God. If you want to play competitive 40K and you have been playing this game for like if you've gone to like less than 3 GTs, you probably should not be writing your own lists. If you want to, cool, that's awesome. Go do it. Have fun. You'll have a great time. But if your goal is to compete, on the front end, net list. Go out there, find something that's working, figure out why it's working, and play it. If you want to be a little snowflakey, tweak this, that, the other thing, put the thing that you love in there, awesome. But do not be afraid or ashamed of running a list that you found on the internet. If you've got buddies who are saying, oh man, you're playing the powerful meta stuff and I'm a very casual, that's a totally different story. I mean, if you and your friends want to play competitive, play the best lists. You will hold yourself back by choosing not to do that. It is really hard to write a competent list, especially something that's out of the ordinary. Lukas is doing as absolute best as he can, and he is a very competent list writer, and he's still hoping to go 4-2. Like, it's hard. It's really hard out there. So until you have a very good feel for what it is that works, that you like, and that you want to play, download this off the internet every day of the week. So Ian is doing both of those things. He went out, he found a net list that has the thing that he loves in it, and he is playing it now with borrowed models. This is the perfect storm of how to come in on the front end, and honestly, it's why we wanted to have Ian on the show, to talk about how to do this without having all of the years of expertise and collections and everything that we love so much about the game. You'll get there. You'll absolutely get there. But before you've put in that kind of time, these are the shortcuts that get you to the thing that you want to do, playing competitive games on the tabletop immediately. Orkspit has a great comment here. Redefine your win condition. Absolutely. Play the thing that you love and decide what you want to do. Lucas's goal is 5-1. He's happy with 4-2. He's going for 5-1. He's playing the thing that he loves. That's awesome. If Lukas doesn't win the tournament, who gives a crap? He's playing orcs. He goes 5-1. Very nice. Lukas makes the top 8. Very impressive. With orcs, like, that's great. And even if you're playing with something that's very meta, Ian comes in, Thousand Suns, very meta army. Like, seeing Thousand Suns in a top 8, not surprising anybody right now. But Ian coming in, having never been to a GT, he goes 5-1 with Thousand Suns. That's freaking incredible. He goes 4-2 with Thousand Suns. That's fantastic, right? So adjust your win conditions accordingly, and you'll have a great time. And then the last jokey question over here is most important question. Ian, are you running Magnus with the nipple horns?
Indeed, I'm running with the goddamn nipple horns. Mm-hmm.
Dude, that's modeling for advantage right there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
He needs vision, bro. He sees out of those nipples.
No, I meant just like the intimidation factor.
Oh, that too. That too, I guess.
You walk up to the table and you look across and you see a Magnus without the nipple horns and you're like, oh, I got this in the bag. Right? That Magnus is a liability right there. You're playing 400 points down, brother. He's going to die turn 1.
Unless it's without the armor, because like the shirtless hella buff Magnus, dude. That's a
with the actual nipples? That's also a Chad move.
That one's pretty good.
That's asserting dominance for sure.
Rella6 asks if Ian has considered the new Chaos Knights as a potential faction that he might be interested in playing.
I literally learned today that they got an update. I'm like out of the loop with these things. I didn't know. So like, I think I would actually enjoy playing Chaos Knights. I've always just been told by Lukas and Tower, like, nope, they're kind of a noob army. Just don't do it. They're kind of shit. Like, not a good idea. So I kind of just stuck away from it. Plus, I didn't really like lean into like the psychic aspect of things, which is like something that I really enjoy. But aside from that, yeah, I do think I would enjoy playing Chaos Knights.
Go for it.
Tyler and I were both like fiending to like say so, you won't believe it, but there is a new psychic Chaos Knight.
Oh,
and it's pretty good. Not bad.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Relos clarifies he actually meant playing an allying in a Chaos Knight or a couple Chaos Knights with your Thousand Suns, which is way easier and better than it used to be. And we know, for example, Chuck, who is on Best in Tabletop OG, has been touting about his new list, Taking a Storm of Silence, has a trio of OBSEC armigers that go with his Thousand Suns and provide a lot of long-range firepower. And that's a very, compelling take, potentially. Would that be something you would be interested in considering?
I think it depends on like the points and like how competitive it is. I know that I'm not usually huge on like, okay, I'm going to be doing everything that's as competitive as possible, but realistically, a Chaos Knight is probably going to be replacing Magnus in this list because I don't really want to replace the squad of Terminators. I mean, maybe, I don't know, I don't know how many points Chaos Knight is. I don't know what exactly they're good at. I don't know if they're tankier than Magnus. Probably, honestly, Magnus is not that tanky.
Yes.
So yeah, it kind of just depends. Like, I'd have to actually like look at what they've changed about Chaos Knights.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think some of the people are excited about are like the 3 carnivores because they're
Mhm.
OPSEC and you can run them as like one unit. I mean, they split into 3 separate units when you deploy them, but you can use them like in your super heavy allied knight.
I think Zach and Chuck are both pretty hype about triple like Armiger Hellverns.
Yep.
Because that long range, like Ian, I'm sure you know this by now. Long range firepower is like the thing that Thousand Suns are missing.
Yeah.
They just, if you're going to stand far away from them, they got to come to you. And the Armigers, they're like range like 48 or something, so they can provide a little bit of that long range potentially. So
it might actually be 60. They can get the whole board.
Yeah, they have tons of range.
I think too the carnivore gives you a little punch that you're kind of liking.
Oh yeah, the carnivores. I mean, if you want to talk about a threat saturation list, if you're playing duplicity, so you jump both Terminator squads up turn 1 and advance the carnivores. They go 14 plus D6. And turn 1, you say, here's 20 Scarabacults and 3 carnivores. Good luck. Like, I don't have a plan for that.
Right, I need to get my hands on like a Chaos Knights codex just so I can like read it. I'm huge on reading codexes, by the way. I love just like getting a codex and just like reading like both the lore, but mostly just like reading their rules and like what all the stratagems they have. I do that actually quite a bit, so I kind of need to get my hands on a Chaos.
That's step number 1 to becoming good at the game is knowing everyone else's rules.
We've talked a lot about that. I think that's something that we do quite a bit, Lucas and I. Like when we hear there's a meta list, and after like a few weeks, when it's like, all right, this is here to stay, we'll like set a night aside, whip out the rules, build a generic meta list to play into, and just play into it together, just so we understand like how it plays and like what are all the stratagems it can do. I love reading through all the stratagems too, Ian. Like knowing what an opponent can do to you in a phase is super important. Like if you walk into a trap and lose a game because of it, that sucks so much.
Feels bad. Feels so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
When I played, yeah, just one point. When I play 40k, I feel there's like a balance to be had, right? Where I always want to tell my opponent I'm capable of doing this, but I don't want to tell them everything that I'm capable of doing because like I don't want to literally give away my game plan, right? I don't want them to be like, okay, if you do this, I'm going to do this. So it's like balancing on a knife's edge where I want to have those gotcha moments, but I don't want to be like cringy about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's like a very fine line to be threaded between, hey, by the way, you're about to do this thing, just so you know, like I have an Auspex stratagem. You should know about that if you're going to deep strike in front of me. But that's very different from saying, looks like you're kind of overextending there. If you come in like that, I'll probably run up and charge you, and that unit's going to end up taking more damage than it can handle, and that'll put me in a better position. So that's not a good move. Like, that's the difference between keeping your opponent informed and coaching your opponent, which is absolutely not something that you need to be doing at games, especially as a front-end player. I'd be careful with that terminology. The phrase gotcha in this game has a very specific meaning, and it generally is, I have a rule that you didn't know that I have that totally counters your entire plan, and you would never have even considered doing this if you knew about this rule. So, haha! Or like similar things with measurements, so it is a very negative connotation. I'd be careful around it, but we understand what you're putting down. Cool. So we're 45 minutes in, and we have not yet even begun our main event. Do you have something you want to add, Lucas, before we jump into it?
I was just going to try to move us along to it.
Let's do it. Alrighty. Before we jump into the main event, though, we do want to get a quick update on Nick. What's going on in Harlequins world, man?
Oh yeah, so there's someone in the chat I saw earlier who was asking what changes I've made to the lists in Seattle. The big things I'm scared of are Tyranids and New Knights. New Knights especially because I don't really know how they play. Like I played into Imperial Knights once, and I have a general idea what Chaos Knights do, but like because the rules aren't out there in the wild yet. I mean, there's the physical codexes, but I don't have one. They're not available online anywhere, so I don't know like the rules backwards and forwards. So I feel like it's a little gap in my knowledge. I'm bringing some more anti-tank, and I'll walk through the list real quick. So the Shadow Suit is pretty much the same. I've kept the -1 attack aura. I know I talked in the last episode. I didn't love it. I just kind of had some points lying around. Didn't really like have anything better to buy. -1 attack is crippling for some armies. She still has the 9-inch auras. She has Mirror Mines, which is that awesome roll-off mortal spell. And I switched out Webway Dance for Shards of Light. I know some people like Webway Dance. It was a lot better when you had 6, when you had 9 Void Weavers, and like that 6 of Feel No Pain on all of them was super nice. Now it's like I'm protecting that squad of 3. If I'm playing the game correctly, that squad of 3 shouldn't be getting shot anyways. I get it that it's like something she can do while she's behind a wall, but Shards of Light is this pretty cool spell. It's like a targeted smite that deals D3 mortal wounds to a vehicle or monster and -2 from the leadership. And then the gun that she has is D3 shots that hit on 2s. And if you roll above their leadership, they take immortal. So it's some synergy there with that. So it's something I saw like on the Art of War stream game where Nick was just kind of shooting Shards of Light at some knights and then just randomly stripping wounds off them with mortals. And I'm like, that seems pretty cool. I think I'm going to try that out. And it pretty good success in my test game with knights. I was just doing like 8 mortal wounds a turn to a knight with this one Shadow Seer. So I'm playing her a lot more like a battle psyker now. She's going to run up with my army, and that means that the -1 to wound and -1 attack are going to be a lot more north. They're going to be in my opponent's face. I still got the Slapmaster. That's the guy that goes super fast and punches stuff pretty hard unless they're a Marine with a 2-up armor. I got Clown Baby. That is the guy who auto hits with the 2-up armor, or not the 2-up armor, the wound on 2s. Just another good Troop Master, pretty good into like knit infantry. We got the Solitaire. I love him. So keep playing him. Then the meat of the list is still the, 5 squads of 5 troops with double fusion, double Nero, embrace and kiss. 1 squad of 5 troops for mission play. A big brick of 3 Void Weavers. 5 Star Weavers for the transports. And the new edition, I cut the bikes for a single Void Weaver. The bikes give me more mission play. I was already going to go down to 2. 3 just like didn't really do a lot for me. Like 2 can move block and get deadly performance turn 1 just as easily as 3, and you save some points. But I don't know. I'm scared of knights. I'm scared of high armored targets. Having an extra Void Weaver just running around, sitting behind a wall and shooting knights behind a wall, or zipping around and shooting big nid monsters seems pretty good. It's also one, since it's like a single boat, opponents either like overkill it, and it's like, cool, you just like very much overcommitted in activation to killing this, or they underkill it, and then it lives on 2 wounds and it doesn't bracket, and it's still pretty good. So just kind of more of that, anti-tank in the bag there. Other than that, the core of the list is pretty much the same. A lot of thinking with not a lot of changing happening.
Very nice. Cool. Well, we'll hear about how this ends up going for you in a couple of weeks, but I think it's finally time for our main attraction tonight. Oh.
Yep.
Well,
the main attraction.
Yeah, the main attraction.
Lucas, we know you are a bean aficionado.
Yes, sir.
I don't think we're going to be able to bring beans through airport security, but what is the first can of beans you're going to buy when we touch down in San Francisco?
I will tell you, my local Safeway, I'm
yeah.
intimately aware of this, does not actually have my favorite, what do you call them? Strain? Breed?
Really?
Of beans?
Strain?
Varietal?
Yeah, breed's a little weird.
Like yeah. So we'll see what we can do, but we are definitely bringing some beans to for lunch. I'm so down for that.
Fantastic.
Right.
Okay. With that out of the way, for the 11th try, I believe it is finally time for the main event, which is a new rendition of Man versus Matchup. Oh, I'm so excited. This one, for those of y'all who are not looking at the YouTube, has been poorly photoshopped into Ian versus Matchup, which Ian happens to be just a man, but with a little bit more I in there, get the ego up and running. Cool. Lucas, do you want to walk us through what Man versus Matchup is?
Sure. So Man versus Matchup is just kind of a roundtable discussion about you have your set list, right? And you're going to a tournament, and let's imagine you're playing against X on mission Y. Man versus Matchup is just all 4 of us talking about that matchup, thinking about how it could go, what to exploit, what to be worried about, the kind of general tempo of the game, and kind of just, especially because this is one of Ian's first big tournaments, setting him up for success and in that regard. So we did this once before with us. This version is going to focus on Ian's Thousand Sons, and we're going to walk through a couple of armies, like in order of increasing difficulty, and kind of talk through matchups on specific missions, which we think should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so we'll talk about secondaries, we'll talk about terrain, we'll talk about game plan. It's going to be a whole bunch of fun. So, Ian, are you ready for your first matchup?
I hope so. I hope I don't make myself look really, really stupid.
All right, well, we're starting off with, we're going to give you a hard one. This is going to be real tough. We're starting off playing against Death Guard on on Data Scry Salvage. All right, so Death Guard, known for being a particularly slow army. Data Scry Salvage, known for being a mission that requires the highest amounts of speed possible in the game. What are you thinking on the front end of this? You walk up to the table and see that this is what you're up against.
Yeah. So first and foremost, I smile. Because I'm pretty sure I win. But real quick, deep question: does this map say that it's 36 inches away for the deployment zones, or are the deployment zones 18 inches away?
Those are to the objective markers. The deployment zones are 24 inches apart.
Okay, yeah. So I'm definitely toe to line. Like I'm deploying like as far forward as I can, and trying to get right at that 18-inch range where I'm going to be able to both shoot and cast. And there's literally nothing that the Death Guard can do. I don't know. Maybe at that turn 3, maybe they'll be like whittled down enough. But honestly, I never really even have to contest them. Like they'll just get like nuked off the table before they're able to even like shoot at me. That's the idea. That's pretty much like that. That's
as long as you can extract your measuring tape to 17 inches, you'll be good, brother. Don't even worry about it.
So what kind of secondaries do you think you'd take in this situation, Ian? Oh, by the way, so we should explain what the army is. Death Guard right now is like max. It's like, let's say it's like, I don't know, 3 big bricks of Terminators and a big old Foul Blight spawn castle and whatever. Maybe there's a couple of demon engines, couple either Mephitics or PBCs, a couple of cultists to run around the periphery, but it's mostly a death ball plus a little bit of demon engine.
Oh, so
would you agree with that as the sort of what's going on, Lucas?
More or less,
yeah. There's like 7 overcosted characters without invuls as well.
Yeah.
7
that are 4 wounds for some reason.
Yep. Oh yeah.
How many points of no prisoners do they give up?
Way too many. You should probably take it if they have any reasonable amount.
All right, cool. I'll probably
definitely ask them before the game.
They also usually have psychers that don't do a lot of damage in the psychic phase.
Yeah, so I was thinking no prisoners. I was thinking either Wrath of Magnus. Mutate Landscape is also, I think, somewhat decent, but probably Wrath, just because I'm going to be doing it. Like, I'm going to be nuking them every turn regardless. So, like, yeah, Wrath of Magnus I'm probably going to be winning on compared to Mutate. And the third one is a bit more, like, difficult, a bit more up in the air. Could see probably not Strangle.
Yeah, Strangle plays is gonna have you running into the Death Guard player's face. I don't think that's very good.
Yeah, probably not Strangle. I always struggle with like the third one. I always get 2 out of 3, and then the third one is always like kind of difficult for me. I always have to like look at them to get like the idea of what I want to be taking.
Banners feels okay, but then you have to mutate and banners, which is a lot to manage.
Well, I think we go Wrath of Magnus.
Yeah, I think we go Wrath of Magnus.
Okay, but you can take mutate and Wrath of Magnus. Oh, that's what you're saying.
Yeah. Exactly. So I take
worse.
Yeah, so I take Wrath and I take no prisoners, and I mean raise the banners, but it's same deal, right? As Strangled, like I have to get to the center of the field to actually really do it.
But so let's talk a little bit about like big picture game plan here, Ian. Where are you trying to go? Like where do you want to be parking your stuff?
Well, I suppose I do want to get like to the center at first, right? I do want to go to the center, but then as he approaches me, I'm kind of happy just like moving backwards. And then once he's a little weaker, once I feel like okay, he's not really going to be doing very much to me, then I can start moving forward and like really start trying to nuke whatever's left. Hopefully by like the end of turn 3 or so, it's just not very much left at all. That he won't be able to contest anything that I try and put my feet on.
Yeah, Lucas, you want to break down some of the like general theory of how to play Data Scry Salvage that might be helpful here?
Yeah. One thing about this mission that's often forgotten is the fact that the objectives are sticky with OBSEC. I believe that stayed in this mission, right, Tyler? Yeah, I haven't played it in forever. But yeah, so the Risen Rubrique stratagem on this mission is going to be excellent. It is going to be amazing. And really what you want to do is you see the 3 objectives on the left side of the map here. If you're the red player, you want to castle up on those and make your opponent going to like the leftmost of his triangle very, very costly for him in terms of like you blowing him up with mortals and things like that. So you just kind of want to build a triangle there and sit there, and having Risen Rubrique start on those midfield objectives is going to be really good. That's why I personally like banners, because that unit just like moves backward and raises a banner turn 1, and that's really good. And it's Death Guard, so it's not like they're going to charge you. But yeah, this is kind of the general theory of Data Scry Salvage. It also really incentivizes defensive secondaries, which is I wanted to bring up to the last. Might be better than no prisoners, because depending on how aggro the Death Guard guy is going to run at you, and he might just run at you, you're probably never going to lose your 20 Terminators and Magnus. What do you guys think about that?
I think that's kind of a fair play. Orkspit in the chat here is saying that Death Guard probably only gives up maybe 9 or 10 on no prisoners, which is maybe true. So definitely get the information on what that is. I will say there's also the chance that they don't bother bringing a Psyker. I've seen a couple of Death Guard players who are like, I need to be able to take up Horror. I don't want to take the Plaguecaster. But either way, I think there's one other secondary that really should be in the discussion right now, and I'm not sure why it isn't. We're playing Data Scry Salvage, Lucas. What secondary are we going to recommend here?
Is there a mission-specific one that's good?
There is no mission-specific secondaries isn't a thing. Naj, you got it?
Nah, I fucking hate this mission.
He's playing Thousand Suns on freaking Data Scry. He's taking Pierce the Veil, motherfuckers.
Oh,
I do not know what the secondary is.
No, Tyler, you're setting him up for failure.
No, I'm setting him up for a hundo.
Oh.
Ian, there is a secondary, a psychic secondary, that is only good on one mission, and it is this mission.
Yeah. It's the one that's in their deployment zone, yeah?
Not in their deployment zone. You have to be within 6 inches of their battlefield edge. Look at the map for a second.
Yeah, okay. So that's like literally pretty much half the battlefield.
It's also your safe side.
Yeah. So you deploy.
We're safe.
Yeah, you deploy. What I don't remember. Do you have a throwaway caster? It's got to be a character. You have Magnus Armor. You have the Demon Prince. The Demon Prince doesn't need to cast anything else important.
Yeah, not really. I mean,
he's fast.
Touch, but yeah.
How fast is he?
11 inches plus advance.
Buonissima. Yeah. So you park that Demon Prince in this very topmost corner, and he is 15 inches plus a little bit because his base isn't perfect there, but he's within 16 inches of the top of the table, and you just have to get up to within 6 of that top edge of the table. So turn 1, he moves 11 inches, and he casts Pierce the Veil 4 times, and you get 15 points.
That's true. I don't know. The way I see it, Wrath of Magnus is like almost a guaranteed 15. I'd be very, very disappointed if I got less than 12 with Wrath. And then, what was the other one I said? I guess no prison. Instead of no prisoners, maybe.
You can't take Wrath and no prisoners. They're both the same category.
Oh, are they?
They're both.
Yeah. That's a bummer.
Is Wrath is a psychic? Yeah. I think I'm questioning if they don't have a wizard. If they don't have a wizard, I think you take Pierce the Veil.
That's fair.
Yeah, I could actually see that. I could agree with that.
Yeah. And like some guys would say it here. Yeah, I think you throw the Demon Prince up turn 1, and then like the Infernal Master casts it after that. Because what does he need to be casting? Just get up there. But yeah, get up to your guys. Use Risen Rubrique. I think like Luce is saying, use Risen Rubrique to put an OBSEC squad of rubrics on that like closest to the middle objective on your half of the table. And then turn 1, they just move backwards. And now the Death Guard player has to get all the way onto the objective to take it down from you. And then you just light them up from as far away as possible.
Yeah, I think there's a defensive way you could go like to the last banners, Pierce the Veil, and then there's a flip side which is like engage Wrath of Magnus mental interrogation, and you just like run full force at them and just get them off the board. And
that's a question of playstyle essentially at the end of the day, as much as Innes hates that word. I would personally take to the last banners and Pierce the Veil and be very comfy with that. That seems like a pretty good way to score 100 points to me.
That just requires that he be very familiar with how to play defensively.
Yeah. So up to you, Ian. It sounds a little bit more fun. Yeah, Orks, but I'm telegraphing exactly where I'm going to go, and the Death Guard player's never going to get there. They're playing Death Guard.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this matchup is kind of won no matter what. Honestly, it doesn't feel like they're going to get very many points.
Also, Ian's playing Cult of Duplicity, so like if the Death Guard managed to crash over there's no one in his backfield. Poof! I use a spell to put a dude over there who then casts the action.
We didn't.
And you only have to cast it 4 times.
Your relics either. Are you running the crystal at all? The teleport crystal? There you go. 2 teleports.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's a lot there. Okay, cool. So this feels super comfy. There's your warm-up game. You get your warm-up, you get your 100-point dub. Feels good. And moving on, I know this is not the order that admissions are being played at BAO, but moving up to round 2, you are Lucas, you want to explain to him what a Black Templars matchup looks like and what Recover the Relics is going to be. What does the list look like? What does Ian have to worry about? Because Ian, I imagine you've never played into Templars before.
I've never played against Black Templars.
Awesome. Break down, Lucas.
Right. So Templars are a hybrid tanky movement melee Space Marine chapter. The reason we really wanted to do this matchup was because they have a 5-up Feel No Pain against mortals army wide. So they're going to be cutting all of your psychic damage by a third, which is going to be pretty nice for them. And generally what they do is they're not actually all that fast. They kind of move the same speed as you. They kind of tromp forward 5 inches. They have some ways to buff their advances and charges, but you can kind of counter them the same way you counter Death Guard in that they only really move like 6 inches plus a charge. So if you just stay 18 inches away from them, they can't charge you. But yeah, they've got the 5-up against mortals, and they also have a 1 CP deny a spell on a 4-up. So very importantly for Thousand Suns, you can never rely on a spell going off 100%. Unless you make it undeniable or whatnot. Generally, the units they want to take, there's a lot of good melee units with good AP, so they can definitely bash your Terminators pretty good. They usually have a big brick of Eradicators, which are guys with Strength 8, AP -4, D6 plus 2 damage guns, so those will just pop Terminators. And then other than that, it's just kind of a bunch of Space Marines walking around on foot. So in the new context of Armor of Contempt, with all of these guys having +1 save against all your bolt guns, how do you feel against an army like Black Templars that's going to actually want to brawl in the middle with you? How do you kind of feel about a game like that?
I mean, honestly, I'm like thinking right now, like, what secondaries do I want to be even taking in this? Are these? Do they run like a lot of models? Is it like just kind of a swarm?
Yeah, their list is basically 100 to 120 wounds worth of Space Marines, unless they have Redemptors, but not many people are doing that. 100 to 120 wounds worth of Space Marines, and then like 4 or 5 characters. I have personally found, and they won't have a Psyker, by the way. I have personally found No Prisoners and Assassinate to be very good against Templars because their game plan is going to be playing up and aggro in your face.
Yeah.
They're not really going to be able to like play back, and then you just get points for them running at you.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I mean, realistically, against them, it sounds like the main weapon I have is just kind of gunning at them. I don't really. I mean, I guess. Wait, are there units like 11 or more models? Because then I have yeah, no Baleful Devolution.
No one's packing 20-man Crusader squads. What?
You
They're
might
awful.
actually see some big Crusader blobs, but they're not going to be very impactful.
Yeah. So I mean, if I feel like it's probably going to be shooting. And then Magnus is just going to play as far back and kind of just do as many psychic buffs as possible. I probably wouldn't be using him super offensively in this kind of matchup because I don't really see like much reason to. Like that's partially the reason why I feel like Magnus is like really nice is that unless you're playing against the super shooting oriented army, then I kind of get to choose when Magnus goes in and when he dies. And so ideally I'm gonna have Magnus on the table for like 4, maybe 5 turns this game. Probably just play distance. I assume these guys don't really have great shooting, so I'll probably concede the board really at first. Trying to think. I'm assuming this is hold 2, hold 3, hold more. This mission type.
This is hold 1, hold 2.
Hold 1, hold 2. Okay, interesting. Yeah, so I would really just hold a corner, concede the hold more at the beginning of the game. See which side the Black Templars player is kind of like playing strong side. And assuming that I'm say I'm player A here, I'd probably go for the left objective, and let's just say the top left objective. And based on whether I'm getting attacked from my right side or from below, I'd kind of just start moving towards the other side. Um, I'm assuming there's going to be lines of sight where I could teleport some Terminators around, nuke a squad of Black Templars off of an objective, and really, screw with their game plan of like having backfield objective holders, and maybe by the end of the game, he won't even be able to hold 2.
Yep. Couple things to keep in mind that I think are going to be really helpful here. Does your Infernal Master have the Ignores Cover chant?
No.
Okay.
So-
That might be something to consider because having that Ignores Cover chant against a lot of armies right now, especially Space Marines and mirror matchups and other Thousand Suns, very, very important to be able to ignore cover because then your combi bolters actually tear them up, whereas otherwise they're not doing anything.
Which chant? I think you might be thinking of a Galagan's Orrery, which is an artifact that the Demon Prince does have.
I think Capering Imps gives Ignores Cover. The
Check
chant.
that.
It's something we can look at later, but it's just something to think about. Templars don't have much shooting. They're mostly just like punching you in the face. There's 2 key units to be aware of when you play against Space Marines in general, but especially Black Templars, ask where their Eradicators are if they have them, because that'll blow Magnus up, or a squad of Terminators, and ask where their Terminators are, because there's a squad of Terminators with the Sergeant who's -1 damage, 5 at Feel No Pain, 4 wounds, and comes back to life because of the Apothecary. So that, being aware of how tanky that unit is, and the fact that if you don't one-shot it, that Sergeant's going to come back, that is a soul-draining moment when that guy comes back to life more than once. So just be aware of that guy's existence.
I will say a lot of his durability does come from him being -1 damage, and Thousand Suns being a 1 damage army. He's probably in a pretty good position. You want to try to bait that out if you can. Fire all your 1 damage weapons first, hold the missiles for the end, and see if he's going to end up putting some wounds on that guy. And if he does, put in with more bullets. And if he doesn't, once he's taken a save on someone else, the missiles have to get allocated there. There's some micro there. Here's an interesting idea from a macro perspective. Black Templar is not super fast. Maybe he takes the anti-psychic thing where he goes super fast turn 1. But I really like the idea that like you full deploy on one, like super off to one flank, and see what he wants to do about that. If he wants to match you and run at you full force, or if he wants to go the opposite way and try to know that he's a little bit faster than you and take as much of the table as possible. And if he does the latter, pick up both squads of Terminators and just completely undo his plans. You can really fake people out here because your entire... Isn't that dirty? Because your entire army is basically 3 units, right? It's Termes, Magnus. Magnus moves 16, and both Terminators teleport.
Yes.
So I think that is a strategy to be very ready to take advantage of, is everyone's on one side, so you counter deploy all the other side, and then boop, Daka. And also, you're doing that, especially if you get to go second, and they have already run it like full force, thinking that they're very safe, and just, saucy. Mm-hmm.
You have the Master Duplicity Warlord trait too, right?
Yes. So the one where
does he have redeploys as well?
I do.
Yeah. Is it 3 or D3?
D3.
Okay.
D3 and the Warlord, I think.
That is something to tell your opponent about, because that is something they could definitely feel gotcha'd by.
Yeah. Redeploys, teleports, and teleport spell. Make sure they know about all 3 of those on the front end. Nothing else in your list is that crazy, but like those are the big 3. Oh, and when this weirdly comes up a lot. Make sure that people know that Magnus is 18 wounds. When I was playing Barbed Hero duels, I would list off their stats. I'd say they're T8, 18 wounds, 2 up save, and people would just like be on autopilot and not realize what that means. The fact that he can be targeted without benefiting from obscuring. So if people are not aware of that, they'll feel kind of bad if you don't tell them. It's a weird thing, but they should make sure they know that. Noah brings up, the extra movement for the anti-psychic oath. I think that's probably the thing he wants to take, assuming Ian has ignores. Yeah, because if Ian does have ignore cover, you might want the invuln. But if Ian doesn't have ignore cover, you absolutely want it.
I don't think there's anything that's like high enough AP to like reliably put the Templar guy.
You definitely want cover as the Templar guy.
I'm thinking about Magnus. Is Magnus only AP3?
He's AP4.
They accept Magnus kills like a squad, or he doesn't pick up the Terminator brick in melee.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think, what Lucas is saying, you want cover. And also, because like if he's taking Capering Imps, he's only going to be able to turn off cover on 1 squad a turn.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, cool. So this would be a lot of fun. This is a real interesting mind gamey one, because you may seem like comparably paced armies. He may seem faster when he has the oath, but those teleportations can be backbreaking. What are we thinking about in terms of secondaries here? Oh, also, speaking of secondaries, by the way, someone pointed out in the comments, Wrath of Magnus is not a psychic secondary. It's a No Mercy, No Respite secondary.
Yeah.
So in the last one, you could have taken Pierce and Wrath of Magnus, and to the last, and that's just spicy. Okay, for sure. So what are we thinking about secondaries on this one? Or you got something, Nick? Oh, was that Ian? I don't know.
It's Ian.
Start talking.
Yeah. So these guys don't have any psychers, yeah?
No, they're not allowed to have any psychers. They hate them.
Go figure. I hate them too. No wrath then. Unlucky.
This looks like a Banner's mutate mission if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, I would definitely take mutate. Banner. I've never really been a huge fan of banners because I don't know. It feels like I kind of walk myself in So like once I have banners, it's like okay, now I don't really have the play. And I mean, if I was Cult of Time and I was like super happy to just chill in the corner and do that thing, then yeah, sure, banners. But I feel like Cult of Duplicity, what the game plan is kind of just to move around. And if I have banners, then that kind of really weakens the secondary. Um, with that being said, I'm not really quite sure. I'd definitely be taking Wrath or not Wrath. What did I mutate? Um, and probably would be taking no prisoners as well, just because like it's a super passive one. And I wouldn't really have to be doing much. Like it's really easy to do that. Aside from that, I'm not quite sure what the third. Like I said, I could do the first two easy, and then the third one is always so hard for me.
There's a couple ones that are decent. Stranglehold in this mission always feels not great, but I
Yeah.
think you can still manage it because he has to also be on 6 objectives, so you can pick away at his weak flanks and stuff like that. I think Stranglehold still feels okay. I also think Assassinate feels good. Black Templars are notorious for having Chaplain Grimaldus, who is one chaplain attended by 3 homeboys, and the homeboys give up Assassinate points. If you kill Grimaldus, you get 12 points.
Okay.
You can just chill the whole game, get a 0 on Assassinate until turn 5, and then Magnus just YOLOs in there and crushes Grimaldus and gets you 12 points. Assassinate is pretty sick.
How tanky is this Grimaldus guy?
4 up in one. Like 5
In terms of like wounds, because I'm thinking like maybe just Demon
He's
Prince.
got 3 buddies that are 1 wound, and then he has like 6.
Yeah, he's Primaris, so he
Yeah.
can transhuman, and he stands back up on a 4-up once per game.
The Demon Prince could feasibly kill him.
Yeah, I was thinking because the Demon Prince has like 2 targeted smites on him, and then I use the Witchfire Cabal Point thing to do an extra D3. Pray that it's enough to take him down. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah. No prisoners, mutate, and assassinate is a pretty aggressive secondary slot. So he could just sit in his DZ.
In that
If
case,
you're
I'm
gonna
kinda happy.
if you're gonna take those 3 and none of them are Stranglehold, I think that's a weird combination.
I think in that case, like if I do those 3 secondaries and he's just like happy to sit in the corner and like he takes secondaries that reflect that he's just gonna be sitting in the corner, then like it's super rare time where I get to change my secondaries and turn it into something where okay, if you want to sit in the corner, fine, Stranglehold, buddy.
Or
Oh,
yeah, to the
that's
last.
fair. Or to the last, yeah.
Counterpoint about mutate. What about mental interrogation instead? Because they have a bunch of characters. I know that only characters can cast it, but you got the Infernal Master, right? Who just probably casts it.
Mhm.
If they're running their characters at you, it's better than like having to run onto an objective. Like, what if they're surrounding an objective completely and you can't go over and mutate it? Just something that I've thought about when I've been like, oh, mutate's my default, and I'm like, wait, mental's way easier in this matchup.
Really, you think so?
Yeah. It might be
Not maybe this matchup particularly, but like in some matchups where I'm like, I'm gonna default to mutate. I go, wait a minute, mental's just easier because I can decide to seed an objective and I still get mental. Whereas like if I seed an objective and it's like, well, shoot, now I gotta run over there and mutate it. So just something to keep in mind.
The other thing that I think is interesting, when do you get to change your secondaries for the CP as Thousand Sons?
After they have chosen their secondaries and they reveal it to me, then I can change it.
But it's before you know who's going first?
I can pull up Wahapedia right now. I could pull up the book too, but let me.
I think it is, Tyler.
Okay, because if it were after you knew who was going first, I love the idea of, oh, I'm going first. I switch into Stranglehold, pick up both bricks of Terminators, park them on one of your objectives.
Yeah,
Stranglehold time, boys!
Stranglehold!
That'd be funny, but no, it is before battle, not during deployment.
Okay, I still think that's a very interesting strategy to have. Like, if you see your opponent decide to take the full back position, don't take to the last. Just take banners instead, and then go for the knockout punch immediately, cripple them, and win the game that way.
Yeah, true.
Right.
Something I see a lot of people asking in chat too is they're worried about the 4-up deny stratagem that Templars have if Ian is taking psychic actions. Luckily, there's the Kabbalistic ritual for 8 Cabal points to make a psychic power undeniable.
That, and also there's like probably a lot of spells that they're looking to deny. So like, yeah, sure. Yep. I mean, maybe like denying 3 victory points is like a big deal. But like, okay, cool. Now Baleful Devolution, and I'm gonna be like smacking you for like 8 mortal wounds in one spell. You know, like there's a lot of things that they have to deny, right? So like,
you could decide to bait it out. You could be like, I'm gonna cast Mental, and they're like, oh, 4-up deny, and you're like, all right, cool. I'll lose 3 points and kill your army. Sure.
It also only works half the time. And especially if you're taking mutate, you're only doing that 3 times.
Yeah, I think it
Right,
is
so-
after they get a normal deny, so Grimaldus gets his chance at normal denying, and then they can do
Sure.
the fourth deny.
But like staying out of 24 of Grimaldus is not crazy challenging, unless you're trying to interrogate him, of course, in which case it will be very challenging.
I
But
think
yeah.
either mutate or mental is a very reliable 9 and a probable 12. Either one of those.
Yeah. I personally would probably go with mutate if I were you, strictly out of remembering to do it. Taking psychic interrogation, if you don't take it all the time, is a very easy thing to forget to work into your plans.
True.
Where are my opponent's characters? Who can be? Whereas I need to be on my objectives anyway. These guys are going to cast a power. Moving on.
Yeah, true. Very true. I've definitely forgotten.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, yeah, this feels like a solid mission. Marines versus Marines is pretty wet noodly right now, but I think I would give T-Sons the edge slightly.
Yeah. So we're done with 6 objective missions for the day. We're going to move on to some other stuff because we've played 2 of the 3 somehow in the first 2 rounds. Whoever is TOing this tournament is doing a very bad job at mission selection. But
Thanks.
we're moving on to round 3. We're moving on to round 3. Love you, Lucas. And you walk up against Tau, and we're playing secure missing artifacts, also known as priority targets, also known as the one where the objectives move. And fortunately for you, you know a thing or two about Tau now, don't you?
Yeah, this is true. I mean, I've only played against Tau once since they've been nerfed, so I haven't played against them a whole lot. Granted, that matchup was an absolute stomping in my favor, which
Yeah.
we take.
So
those.
we're gonna keep cranking up the difficulty. This Tau list, how many hammerheads should it have, guys? 2, 3, 4?
I don't know, 2 seems pretty reasonable.
Okay. Let's say you're playing into we got Long Strike, a regular hammerhead, 3 bricks of crisis suits. We're not doing the crazy new tech. Have you guys seen the crazy new tech for Tau? The custom sept?
Oh god, no, I have not.
It's 2 parts because it's custom. Crisis suits count as 3 models for the purposes of objectives.
Okay.
And army-wide, OBSEC on the charge.
Oh, blocking tactics? Oh, yes, dude, blocking
What is
tactics. That sounds hella fun.
Lucas is like,
Is it-
please charge at me.
Tau charging.
Tau the squad goes up 10. They fire and fade 6, and then they can still charge because Tau are the only ones that can do that. Fun fact.
That's sick.
And then when they charge, they go into something crappy, or they're super durable. It's like big units, like 5 suits and like 10 drones.
There's
Super
25
durable.
guys on
25 OBSEC dudes on your objective. Super duper tanky. And you got double crisis commanders, so you can pick 2 of them to fall back, shoot, and charge.
That's wild.
Anyway,
Kind of cool.
I think the polls figured that one out for WTC. So that's some cool stuff. You're not playing into that though, Ian. That's like way too. We don't know how that army works well enough to
Way
talk
too
about it.
snowflakey.
Yeah,
Plenty
very
of
very
time
snowflakey.
wants to kill you.
So they're playing Tau Sept. They got 2 hammerheads. They got 2 big units of crisis suits and a bunch of trash running around.
Okay.
They got like
And I'm
6
assuming there's-
bodyguards.
I'm assuming there's no terrain that Magnus can hide behind. Like everything is like not tall enough.
We're neither at the RTT or at FLG events. Is there any way to hide Magnus?
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna have to accept that Magnus is dead by turn 2 at the latest. It probably turn 1. So the strong points in this matchup is definitely going to be the Terminators. And honestly, if he's not going to shoot Magnus and he's going to shoot at the Terminators, I'm actually kind of okay with that because Magnus is going. He will do a number if he can get into melee combat, and he can get into melee combat with as fast as he moves. I think that I kind of have like a free turn with the Terminators to kind of just do whatever I want. So the first turn, if I go first, hopefully, then I just move forward as you do in a Tau matchup, and then try and get a position where the Terminators will be able to see some of these hammerheads or really whatever is like valuable at the time. Like I don't know, the crisis suits are pretty big. Try and plink off some drones. That's really the idea that I have going into a Tau matchup, and then I kind of just pray that I'm able to survive the stat check of Tau fire.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot of really lethal firepower that can do a number on Magnus, but also just like punch through Terminators and cover. They can definitely do a number on those guys. Although we'll talk about that in a minute.
One point. Sorry,
yes.
one point is that when I played against this Tau player, I definitely made it a point to always have one Terminator unit be obscured because I know that line of sight shooting has been like absolutely gutted. So one Terminator unit is going to be obscured. The other one is fully buffed up, and then Magnus -1 to be hit too. Hopefully, ideally the Terminators will be in a dense, and then I don't know, buff Magnus, make it so that maybe he survives the turn, and then pray. I really that's all you can really do against the Tau is just pray you survive the stat check.
One of the really great combos into Tau is because they're an army with so much +1 to hit and they rely on that so heavily. If you can have a forest in a good place on an objective, because both Tomorrow and BA will be player placed, if you can be in the forest and was it Weaver or Glamour? Which one is -1?
Glamour is -1 to be hit.
Weaver and Glamour, and then you're -2, which ordinarily not a big deal. Like, who cares about -2 to hit? When the entire Tau army is BS4 +1 to hit, now they're hitting you on 5s. So if you have one squad obscured and one squad in a forest that they're at -2 to hit, that's going to be some very safe Terminators.
Yep.
Two big things I want to talk about. Both of them mentioned in the comments. Thank you, commenters. What do you think about spending 2 CP to reserve Magnus?
I considered it when I played against the Tau player. Okay, when I played against Tau, to be fair, he did not have any hammerheads. So that was a pretty big deal breaker in the sense that I knew that he was never going to be able to take Magnus down in a single turn. The reality is that even when Magnus does come down, he's going to just get nuked off the table. And if Magnus isn't down, then he's actually kind of okay with that, because then A, I don't get Magnus for the first 2 turns, and then B, he's just gonna nuke the shit out of my Terminators. Like it's not like it really matters to him whether it's gonna be the Terminators or Magnus. At the end of the day, he's gonna be nuking like one of the 3 powerful stuff that I have. So I would definitely not put Magnus in reserves. Maybe if it was free, maybe you could like justify it, but spending 2 CP for it, I definitely wouldn't do it. Would totally just put him on the table and pray that he just shoots at Magnus and utilize the timing that the Terminators have to do something.
And you can't redeploy him into reserves with Colt to Duplicity because he's not he doesn't have the Colt keyword, right?
Yeah, can't teleport him.
So something that's interesting here. I know we'll talk about the objective moving. You select your secondaries and like reserves and transports after you do your player place terrain, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So if you get the defender here, I know we haven't talked about it a ton, but if you get defender here, you could like park a ruin in the center of the battlefield, so you can like hide models in there and can't get shot.
Yeah.
And you could do something like, because everything else in your army can be obscured. So you could like start your entire army behind like, a ruin in your DZ, turn 1, right? Jump everything to the other ruin in the middle of the field. Reserve Magnus in this play, right? So like your whole army is going to be safe. Like your whole trade-off was I want them to shoot Magnus turn 1 so they're not shooting my Terminators. But what if your Terminators are like completely hidden the game, like during the game? Like your opponent has to come around the buildings that you set up in the middle of the board to come shoot you.
That is actually super interesting. I actually haven't thought about that. Is the deep striking Magnus that, like you said, it's after the deployment or after the terrain has been placed? Yeah.
Yeah. So after terrain's in place, it's going to be like reserves and transports.
Secondaries.
Right? Secondaries.
So it's objectives in this mission, which again we'll talk about in a second, then terrain, then secondaries, then reserves.
Yeah, I think in that case, actually, I kind of agree with you. I think that it's probably worth it. The only sad part is that I believe Magnus is going to have to come on my table edge if I bring him in on turn 2.
He can come in on any table edge except your opponent's table edge, and he cannot be in your opponent's deployment zone, which on this mission, the battlefield edge that he can't come in on is the short edge in the back. Not a big deal. You have both long edges available to you.
Yeah,
Go
true.
for it.
Yeah. Okay. So if you can come in at the end or beginning of turn 2, probably, or like after the end of the movement phase on turn 2, he comes in. Yeah.
Or turn 3.
Or turn 3, up to you.
And then in turn 3, he can come into your opponent's deployment zone.
Yeah. Probably
just still not off that backfield edge.
Yeah.
I really like playing this slow and then trying to slam him with a reserve Magnus plus 2 teleported squads of Terminators in 1 turn.
Yeah.
Because Tau are tanky, but they only have 1 squad with the 5 at Feel No Pain. And I don't know if you've ever shot or smited or attacked a Hammerhead, but they have 0 defense. They're like 12 wounds, T7.
They're 14 wounds for some reason, but otherwise, yes.
Okay, that's pretty silly. But you literally just Inferno Combi Bolter them and they go away.
Yeah. I think that your goal is to draw them out a little bit so that on the turn Magnus arrives, both squads of Terminators jump the fuck out and you gun down both Hammerheads.
Yeah, the Hammerheads are that's the scary part of the Tau list to me, because like, there goes my camera. I think that there's nothing else that a Tau player really has that can do a whole lot of work on Magnus. Like, sure, Crises are going to do some damage to Magnus, but they're never going to take Magnus down in one turn. At least not in my experience. So,
And if they do, they're not shooting Terminators at all, and you're in a good position.
If the hammerhead, like the hammerheads are like the prime targets, right? Honestly, like if I could like blanket Terminator unit up and trade them for both hammerheads, I'd say that's worth, because then I know that they don't really have the damage output to deal with anything left in my army.
Absolutely, yep.
Yeah, and also once you stack all the buffs on that Terminator unit you're throwing, especially if you're lucky enough to be able to throw them up in a forest, like they might not even take you down. Like all the crisis suits, it's a game of dice.
I honestly, like, I don't even think, even with the hammerheads, I'm not even sure that a full army of Tau shooting at a fully buffed up Terminator squad takes them down.
Yeah, that's going to be your tanky unit.
Yeah, well, if they're fully kitted up or fully buffed up, yeah. Because when I played against Tau, granted, no hammerheads, he had a Riptide instead, so take that for what you will. But he was not able to. He only killed 7 Terminators with all of his army's firepower, which is like, that's not really great for That doesn't really look great for Tau. So
I forget what's in your list, Ian. Do you have a Brick of Spawn?
No, I do not.
Okay, never mind then. What kind of secondaries are we thinking about for this? This is a absolutely brain dead easy stranglehold mission, yes?
Sort of.
Oh, I would totally be taking Stranglehold.
We got to talk about objectives first, I think, before we jump into secondaries.
Objective movement?
In part because they happen first.
Yeah, true.
So...
we definitely take... Say I'm player A. I'm just going to say I'm player A in every situation just because it's symmetrical. I would definitely be trying to drag the player B's B objective, or the top right objective, closer to me. Right, if ideally out of cover, but if I can't.
No.
Well, is this
He did the thing. He did the thing, guys.
The most important thing in this mission is that you move a no man's land objective first, because those are like.
Why? Yeah, do you want to explain why, Lucas?
Yeah, Lucas knows what's up. Explain why. Ian goes first. He grabs his opponent's home field objective, pulls it 6 inches forward. Why has Ian lost the game?
So then your opponent gets to move 2 in a row. It's the other B objective and one of the A objectives. So they take both of the no man's land objectives and move them 6 inches toward the objective you just moved. So now he's got a castle of 4 objectives on his side of the table.
Oh, okay, I see.
You in order of like importance of what to do in this mission, it's move midfield objectives first, and then the next decision point is: do you want to make theirs more dangerous or do you want to make yours safer?
Okay, I see.
So that's the essential question that we need to answer before we go into this matchup is: do you want to make the lower right objective more dangerous for him to stand on, or do you want your A objective to be safer? I think making his more dangerous is more important.
I agree, because realistically, I'm just looking to plink. I'm not really looking to like hard engage for the first few turns. I'm waiting to, I don't know, find an angle to get the Terminators a full round of fire, and then pray that I don't get a hammerhead shooting in me.
Yeah, I think you're using cultists and rubrics to grab Stranglehold for a couple turns, and then you're jumping all over the midfield objectives of Terminators and Magnus and just trying to do as much damage as possible.
I think this is one of the matchups where your ability to nail the player place terrain can make or break the game. Because there's 2 big decisions. Let's assume for a second that you're playing on like a pretty generic table, so you have like 3 L's, some 3 decent sized ruins, a pile of crates, and a forest. That's kind of like the generic player place situation. Where the forest goes is the biggest question. And then the second biggest question is how well can you line up those ruins to make angles just like non-existent outside of some really extreme stuff. Let's say that's the how to do the L's. That's a hard thing to talk about on a podcast. We can practice that in person at the RTT and whatnot. But just in terms of the first question, Lucas, master of the forest, where is the forest going?
I think it's important in the midfield, probably, because there's probably going to be like a turn. Well,
so let's say Ian's the defender. Let's say he's the attacker, actually. So Ian's the attacker. He grabs that bottom B objective, yanks it out closer to him, so it's going to be harder for the Tau player to hold. The Tau player reacts in kind, and we have this symmetrical situation that we always seem to see, where the 2 midfields sort of rotate, so there's kind of 3 stacked on top of each other, and then the backfields are uber safe in the very corners.
Well, forest placement is challenging. I'd kind of just put it in the center of the battlefield a little bit to the left,
Mhm.
and then hope that like you can jump on like the go turn, you jump onto it, and then you're -1 to hit, and then you just blast away. That's probably where I'd put it. What do you guys think?
I was thinking I would put like a big ruin in the center that hopefully I could get obscured by, and then put the forest on like one of the sides, like in between either the top or the bottom two objectives, and have that be like, I don't know, a safe point that I could theoretically TP to later on.
I kind of like it on the top, like right in between objective A and B at the top. That seems pretty good. In general, I
and
feel
then
like-
like the other thing about that too is if the Tau player makes his A unsafe, now the Tau player has to shoot through a force to shoot him off of A.
I really don't like forests.
No.
But yeah, I feel like some patience in this game is just going to be all you really need to. I mean, not all you need to take it, obviously, but is the like macro approach that you should have. Is don't trickle feed your Terminators to him because he can nuke one squad a turn. Give him all 3 important targets in one go, and then you should be good to go.
Yeah.
Hopefully. What secondaries are we taking now that we kind of know where the objectives are ending up? Hopefully. What secondaries are you taking? I think Stranglehold is still a shoe-in.
I think Stranglehold for sure. How many no prisoners are we getting out of this?
A good amount. Pretty
feel
safe. Like
Tau usually give up around like 12 to 13.
12. Yeah.
Depends
Yeah.
how many crises they have.
Yeah, sure. No prisoners is fine.
I guess it also depends on what you're planning to do. If you're planning to play the game really slowly, there may be a lot of models left on the table on the behalf of both parties.
I mean, if the go turn is turn 3, there's still 3 turns of absolutely shellacking each other.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I understand the principle of that. I think another easy one is mental, because they have a lot of characters that just wander around right behind the front lines and they have no psychic defense.
Yeah, I was
the
thinking.
Infernal Master just goes, wow, 15 points.
I was thinking that, or bring it down depending on like what the exact list is.
We're talking 2 hammerheads. That's 4 points. Get it out.
Oh yeah. Certainly not against hammerheads, but I don't know. Maybe depending on
If
the list.
if you're playing into like quad hammerhead, triple devilfish, that's still only 14.
Okay,
like-
maybe not. Maybe not then.
Yeah, if you're playing into that, totally take it. Like, it's worth the 14 because you're killing all those tanks or you're losing the game. But
Yeah,
like,
true.
Yeah, I think you go no prisoners. I think you go stranglehold. I think you go mental interrogation.
Yeah, that seems like pretty shoo-in. Yeah.
It's worth noting then that you're going to have to play aggressive to kill them. And also mental, you have to give them 24 of his characters. So like starting turn 2, you're going to have to hit
That's
the,
fine. Warp time, playing slow.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. Yeah, I totally like this better than like the sit back and, wait. I don't think that's good because the longer you get them to move towards you, the more angles they're going to cut on you and the more they're going to rip you apart in your deployment zone.
Nice.
Cool.
Round
Very
4.
nice.
Matchup.
You're 3-0, baby. How do you
Yeah.
feel being 3-0 after day 1?
Dude, if I'm 3-0, honestly, like, it's a possibility. I'm gonna say a 50-50 chance of 3-0 by the end of day 1.
All right, into Tau.
I like those odds. I like 50-50s.
Let's go.
Yeah, just 50% of the time it works 100% of the time. All right.
Yeah.
So-
works 75% of the time.
We're moving on up in the world, and I think this is actually a move. We're moving down in terms of power level, but up in terms of things that Thousand Suns don't want to play against.
Like when I think about Harlequins, I think this is like literally one of, if not the hardest matchup for me.
All right, Harlequin extraordinaire Nicholas Olsen Johnson, walk us through what's going on here.
All right, you're playing against my list from earlier. You.
You're playing against
no
Nick.
idea what that means.
Yeah, you're playing against me. Team
I-
kill.
Like I put against Harlequins, I think twice, and both times I got absolutely like literally wiped the floor with. Like literally, by the end of turn 2.
For the record, since then they've been nerfed, and now they're terrible, just unplayable. Definitely not like the third best army in the game.
Yeah, I know they've been buffed. I know that they're like absolutely disgusting broken right now. Well, I mean,
no. They genuinely were nerfed
oh really?
very hard, and they're still fantastic.
Oh, go figure. I thought that they were like still like what, top 3 in the game?
They are.
Oh, they are. Okay.
But-
Yeah, go figure.
I think they're like top 5.
Okay, sure. Top 5, yeah. They basically lost their 300 free points, and now they're playing an honest game despite not having very honest rules.
This is so accurate.
The
So-
first time that you have to play into the frickin' Troop Master popping out of a boat and backflipping into another one.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
infuriating.
Yeah, that was infuriating. Yeah, I just conceded. I conceded at like the top of 2. It was just like, all right, buddy. Like, I guess you won. Like, cool. That felt fun.
Yeah, so what is your general game plan into Harlequins? Knowing that they're out there.
Okay.
So again, real quick, Nick, walk him through what's in your list.
Yeah,
What's in my list? Yeah, I got a Psyker character that's going to do a lot of mortals and subtract 1 from your attack and make my core and characters harder to wound. I have 1 character who's got 6 auto hitting attacks that wound you on 2s at AP 3 damage too. I got 1 character who has a threat range of 29 inches, and he's got 7 attacks at AP2, 3 damage, rerolling all wounds. So not great in your Terminators. AP2 is not great because of armor contempt. And then the Solitaire, who also goes very fast and can ignore invuls. Basically things that are going to be threatening, like Ahriman and the Infernal Master.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Lukas getting some water. The core of the list is the Starweavers, the transports. Are you aware of them like defensively at all? I mean, should I like go into this? Or?
Starweavers. I can't remember if they're not.
Walk him through the light buffs.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, so the Starweavers, you're going to play against this vehicle platform. It's the one vehicle platform they have. It's T5, 6 wounds, 4 up invul, -1 to hit, can't reroll hits against them in any phases.
Yeah, I remember
So, like,
how
you reroll ones.
disgustingly annoying these shits were. Yeah, I remember.
I'm playing light. Pretty much everyone you're going to play against is light. So outside of 12 inches, you can't hit them on better than 4 ups.
That's Harlequins, bro.
They also have this stratagem. When you charge them, they can make a normal move up to 6 inches. So they can screen out your deep strike charges fairly well.
It just feels like it feels like there's no play. It really. I mean, of course there is. Of course there is.
Yeah.
Right. But like, it just feels like everything you do, it's like, all right, well, fuck you then. You know, you don't really get to do much because I have some trap card for you. Everything you do.
Yeah.
There's one piece of great news, Ian, which is that Harlequins are allergic to mortal wounds.
Yes, this is true.
Our only defense against mortal wounds is a relic that not many people are taking. It's a 6-inch aura off a character. It's called the Laughing God's Eye. So if you see that, ask them who's carrying the Laughing God's Eye and where is he or she, and target them with
go to things that are not within 9 inches of that, dude.
6 inches. It's a 6-inch aura. It's not great because Harlequins want to be zipping all over the place.
Aren't you extending that with Shadow?
You can't. It's a relic. Shadowstone's a relic.
Oh, really?
You can't take both. Cool. Yeah, I'm not taking it. I am scared of Thousand Suns. I don't think they are scary enough to warrant taking that relic yet.
Do you not think that this matchup is kind of like a shoe-in victory for Harlequins?
What I'm scared of is your durability. I find that with Armor Contempt, Harlequins have a tough time with killing Marines. They used to just cut them in half, but that because they got 30 free guns that are AP1 damage too, but AP1 is now AP0 into you. Sure. Also, they have no way to ignore cover. And also that one guy, the guy who runs out 29 inches and punches something in the face, is putting your Terminators on a 3-up. So he is not going to kill your Terminators ever. He is going to basically measure distance to Ahriman and the Infernal Master every turn, mostly Ahriman. And if you ever get within 29 inches of him, he's going to run over and he's going to one-shot Ahriman. And that's true.
So yeah, don't fucking measure this, Ian. Just put him in the center.
Yeah.
Do not leave a 25mm gap in combat with Ahriman.
The reason why he kills Ahriman, he's 7 attacks on the charge, hitting on 2s. I get 5 free rerolls a turn, so I'm definitely rerolling any misses there. I'm strength 6, so I'm wounding on 3s, rerolling all. Every 5 up to wound, I'm ignoring your invul. Actually, that doesn't matter. It's putting you on 4-ups anyways. So it's basically saying, hey, dude, make a bunch of 4-ups. Everyone's 3 damage. You fail 2, Ahriman dies.
Yeah, it's...
So Solitaire will also do this too. Except for 2 CP, he can ignore invuls, and he's AP3, so he'll put you on 5-ups.
Yeah, go figure. Yeah, Magnus is just fucked in this game, isn't he? Like, no matter what.
Does a single squad avoids Ace Magnus?
I don't think so. Harlequins also hate -1 to hit because they have no rerolls to hit outside of their 5 free rerolls. But sure, dude, if you want to use your 5 rerolls and rerolling 4-ups, to hit, go ahead. And Magnus, the -1 to hit, you can put, what is it, Weaver, Glamour, whichever one the -1 to hit is.
Glamour is -1 to be hit. Yep.
Yeah, so that is going to be critical in this matchup because I have limited shots and very few rerolls and no way to make them +1 to hit.
Yeah, okay, so maybe playing at range is kind of like the idea going into this matchup.
Is it?
But I don't have great range, is the thing.
I think you do the opposite.
You think I
I
rush it?
think you're playing the Scouring into Harlequins. If
That's the
you
other
go
thing.
first, I think you put your dick on the table and put all 20 Terminators as far forward as they possibly can go.
True. I think you go all no holds barred, just like rush at him.
If you put
Yeah.
20 in the middle turn 1, I'm terrified. Because the thing about
Really?
Harlequins that's
Okay.
really strong is their speed. My whole army can move 22 inches and still shoot, basically. But on the Scouring, speed doesn't really mean a lot, because from the center, you can get to any objective.
Yeah. These objectives, they're what? 9, 12, so that's 3, 4. They're what, 15? Yeah, 15. There's 15 inches between the centers of the objectives in the middle there. Minus 3.5 off of each of them, 7. There's 8 inches of distance to cover between any two between the center objective and any other. And what that means is you can get your because all your Terminators are OPSEC in a single turn with warp time, warp surge, whatever it's called. You can be on every objective. And the other problem that Harlequins have is they don't have a lot of OBSEC. And the OBSEC they do have is made of paper.
Okay.
So you can basically, if you go first and alpha that hard, Nick doesn't get to score primary until he tables you.
Yep.
He just
I think that's the thing where like I always feel like I'm probably in most matchups it generally feels like I'm the scaling army, if that makes sense. Where like I'm actually kind of okay with just playing slow and then coming
Mhm.
forward later. So I'm really not used to ever being the aggressor, and every time I have been the aggressor, it's been against your Tyranid list, and I just get absolutely nuked off the table, so I get salty. So my experience of trying to be as aggressive as possible is like not it has not been great
Yeah.
for me in the past. But I mean,
You
I
might-
depending on the list, I can totally see that maybe Thousand Suns do have play, especially since you're probably more well versed in this matchup than I am.
It might be because Thousand Suns. I think you can go super aggro in matchups where Armor of Contempt made a big difference, and this is definitely one of those because Harlequins, like half of their damage is damage 1 or 2. You're cutting that efficiency by like 33 or 50%, which is just absolutely vicious. And so you're like, yeah, the only thing that's going to kill anything this turn is going to be your 1 Solitaire and your 3 Void Weavers, and hopefully you get lucky with your pistols, and that's it. And I'm just going to run at you in the meanwhile. I think that's the play in this.
Yeah. I think if you get to place first piece and you can put a forest in center table and then jump both Terminators up so they're just barely towed in with every model to the forest, so that the moment you move out, you're no longer taking the -2, and then when you warp time, you won't be taking the -2 either. At that point in time, he's going to have and then you get to put Glamour on Magnus because Magnus can't benefit from the forest. The target prioritization is so hard for the Harlequins that like you get to like I think that this is the plan. The question is, what do we do if he goes second?
Yeah.
And
Other
Nick
things
is a
that-
smart boy and throws an empty boat way forward.
Yeah. Other thing to note about forests that are OP at BAO and FLG events, they have light cover as well.
That's only on some tables, but yeah, it's
Only on some. Okay. Well, if you get that, you are going crazy.
Oh,
At
dude,
heat
if you
cover,
get
at -1
if you get a mechanical structure, light cover, dense cover, not -2 to move.
Oh man, that's
Oh,
all right.
yeah.
See.
But
Okay.
so what does he do if he goes second?
Into
Yeah.
me.
Yeah,
I mean, the way I see it, right? Like, even with this midfield plan, it's like Magnus is still just going to get nuked off the table because Magnus can't go into the center.
I don't think he dies turn 1.
Don't think
It's,
so?
I'm putting out 8 Void Weaver shots.
Also, like, if I
Right.
put the Terminators into the center of the table, then, I mean, Armin and the DP and the Infernal Masters just kind of, like, crying because all they have is, like, the Cultists and River K, and I'm assuming Harlequins have a way to deal with that. You know, like, it's not that much that's defending them.
Yeah. Rubric and Cultists, I'll just rip through. It's
Exactly.
the Terminators and Magnus that are going to win you this matchup.
Yeah, I think you just go full aggro with those.
Oh, I think you.
What was that comment that was just up a second ago, Tyler?
Oh, this Warhammer Matt says he's done the math and it takes 12 voids, so a full 2 turns of Void Weaver shooting into Magnus to kill him through the -1 to hit.
Yeah.
And can Maggie heal for D3? Is that still a thing?
Yes. 2 ways,
Cool.
actually.
Yep.
One to
Oh,
be,
yeah.
one to cast higher than I think 9, which is like
Yep.
super easy on Magnus.
Can
and
you
then-
do both?
No, you cannot.
Okay.
I wish you
That'd be
could.
real good.
I wish you
If you-
could.
Yeah. Because Magnus, does he have any damage reduction? Does he have -1?
Yes, he's -1
Oh,
damage.
Yeah, that's one of his
Minus
2
one
warlocks.
that's really big.
That's really good. Because if I just got
Oh.
to shoot you with my like shurikens would rip him apart if he didn't have armor contempt in that, but he has both. So
So you're taking 3 up saves and they're 1 damage and you're wounding on 5s and you're hitting on 4s. Good luck.
Yeesh.
You do that all day.
Wait, maybe this matchup is like you guys make it sound like it's really easy. Every time I played against Harlequins, I just get wiped with.
No.
It's not easy because I feel like you just need to apply the gas the whole time.
Yeah.
You have to be fighting him 24/7.
Playing defensively is exactly what the Harlequins want. They want to just like sit back and like you expose a unit, they kill the unit. Like because I could go all in on you. I can't go all in on your army. I can go all in on some armies. On your army, I can't. So if you're exposing one piece of your army at a time for me to kill, it's like, oh, my whole army gets to kill one piece of your army at a time. That's exactly what I want. Thank you.
Yep.
So
yeah. I think as a point of practice, Ian, this weekend, try to find at minimum one game, probably around one, because you're most likely to play into one of the less competent players at the RTT. Try to play at least one game where you go full aggro. Even if you don't know that it's necessarily the best move, having a rep or two where you do that is going to be really helpful so that you know what it feels like when you have to do it under pressure at the more important event. Right? Yeah. The RTT is just practice games. Someone's going to win some money out of that. It doesn't matter. Like,
True.
It's really hard to learn how to go full aggro in 40k because like you make a mistake or two and now it's just a cascading series of like you losing the game.
Yeah.
But like learning how to do it's a super valuable skill and you just got to like sometimes not be scared to like accept, okay, maybe I lose this game, but I'm going to learn.
Yeah, I did that exactly. I had that exact thought process against Tyler when I was, I think it was like I was 2-1 against the at the, or no, I don't know.
You were
and
you were 1-1 and I was 2-0 and I paired down.
Yeah. Then I was like, all right, screw it. I've played against your list like 3 times. I've gotten slapped every time when I've been trying to play defensively. I'm gonna play aggressively this time, and I just got smacked even harder. It was like, all right, well, I can't even play this.
Yeah. That was. I mean, that was like the week, like a week or two before LVO. I was playing my LVO list into like Thousand Suns at that point in time. Pre-Armor of Contempt, like it was. That list did mean things to them, but yeah.
But yeah, rush with a well-defined plan can work out really well for you in certain matchups.
This is also, remember, we're talking about a mission here as well. This is the best mission for full rush.
Yeah.
Like into almost anybody. That's basically the plan on this mission.
The exact opposite mission, which is Data Scry Salvage.
You're gone.
I don't think that plan works.
Yeah, I don't think that
because there's no center for you to castle up on.
Plan out the window.
But 5 objective missions, you could probably pull this off on like Death and Zeal or Conversion as well. Which
if we go back, right? What is the plan on like a mission type? Is it really just play slow and then like I don't know, play for 3 objectives and pray?
On this mission?
Yeah.
That is
the Harlequins?
Yeah.
I think just you take defensive things. Like what about
like raise the banners?
Wrath of Magnus is a thing that you can take.
Yeah,
you could take like to the last banners.
Yeah, banners. To the last.
Isn't to the last No Mercy No Respite?
Yeah, I mean you can take to the last and like Pierce the Veil or whatever.
Yeah, I would not be taking Pierce the Veil against Harlequins. That's for sure. I would be taking.
I think you totally take Pierce the Veil into Harlequins on this mission.
Really, you think so?
Yeah, because it's a thing that, like, to stop you, they have to be, like, within 6 inches after you've moved.
Yeah, so you're basically forming a little triangle up there saying your player B, and you're saying, all right, dude, if you want to come stop Pierce the Veil, you got to, like, come over here and kill my really tanky Terminators.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I do eventually, but I'm not doing it in one turn.
Yeah,
okay, makes sense, actually.
So, I think into Harlequins in this, you take Pierce, you take Magnus, and you take...
Banners?
Well, the thing about
banners,
Interesting.
Bro, you were so excited about this combination of secondaries in this mission 2 minutes ago.
Because he was playing into Death Guard.
That's fair.
We went from the slowest army in the game to the fastest. There's a little bit of a difference in banners. But I mean, the other thing though is that because you have like, I worry about banners against Harlequins because they're very fast, but like their obsec is not very numerous.
It's also
Nick is going to have a heart.
It's also inside the boat, so if they come out to like deny your primary and stop your banners, then you get to kill them.
Yeah. So yes, sure, okay, yeah. So banners you accept is probably like a 10, and that's still great. You go banners, interrogate, and pierce, and just cast your ass off.
I don't think you interrogate. You mean
I just play like slow and like I don't know, pray that I don't get
mutate, not interrogate. Mutate.
Yeah, I agree. Mutate, definitely not interrogate. I don't want to move forward. I don't think in this matchup.
Mutate over Pierce.
No. Oh yeah, no. Pierce over mutate for sure. I think so. I think you go Pierce, Banners, and what's his third?
Wrath of Magnus.
Oh, Magnus. That's what it was.
Yeah.
I knew there was a really good one.
I think either that or To the Last is fine.
I think Magnus is probably better than the last.
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Shit. Yeah. No, Harlequins. I don't know. I've just had a really miserable experience playing against Harlequins in the past.
Yeah,
It's one.
Big
they're
same.
tough. They're gonna do dumb stuff to you, and you can be like,
Yeah.
what's up?
If we end up in a situation where y'all both are hanging around, like if Lukas makes top 8 and or Nick gets knocked out of top 8 or something, I'd love to have you guys play a game like that.
Yeah.
If Nick and Ian are both free and available, so
Very
that
fun.
could be fun. All right, so moving on, it's time for the big bad daddy of them all. It's time to play into bugs, and you're playing on abandoned sanctuaries, bro.
Yeah, you just beat me. Now you're gonna go play.
Yeah,
Tyler.
you just beat Nick, and it's time to party, Ian. Let's see what you got for me. So yeah, you have never played into new bugs. You have
Nope.
no idea what they do.
I have no idea.
Okay.
I know that you're like kind of a psychic based army in a way where you have the Maliceptor, and that's kind of like where you.
It's not nearly what it used to be.
Go figure.
A minute ago, it was real problematic. The actual issue for you is the Hive Tyrant. I have a Hive Tyrant who has a sword that says the Terminators go away. In fact, I have 2 Hive Tyrants that have swords that kind of say that do a lot of damage to Terminators. I'm very fast. I'm very mobile. I can be in a lot of places. I can be fairly uninteractive. I have Death Leaper is hilarious because he turns off stratagems. That's just a thing. He just turns off, like, not that I think that super matters into you other than denying like an interrupt.
Yeah.
I do have very strong psychic output. My Maliceptor can crank out 6 mortal wounds on top of the 2 spells that she's doing. So that's like 10 mortal wounds a turn out of her. My stuff can be fairly tanky. It's very fast and it's very cheap. Anything in my army, I have a 1 CP strat to auto advance 8.
So where's your weakness? You're fast. You're tanky. You're cheap. You hit hard in melee. You don't have shooting, I guess, right?
I basically okay. I don't have oppressive shooting. I have shooting that is stupid for what it is, but it's not very long range. I have 1 long range.
0 points on shooting and still shoots okay.
Yeah, so I have these things. They're called pyrovores, and Thousand Suns don't care about them. Or well, no, they kind of do, right? Because AP2 damage is still putting you on 3s if you're not in cover. Kind of.
Do you ignore cover? I don't remember.
No, I don't ignore cover.
Do you ignore cover?
You have to play Jormungandr for it.
Not gonna do.
So yeah, no, so but like, so I can make you make a lot of 2-up saves basically. With the pyrovores, they'll roast. If you have to leave like 5 rubrics out in the open though, they'll roast them for sure.
Yeah.
But they the bigger thing for them is that they are 90 points of meat. That's 90 points of 15 wounds at T5 3-up, and then they'll be in cover for 2-up. For 90 points, that'll just blitz up and stuff. So it's very fast moving. It's very hard hitting. It scores incredibly well. I have the ability with my Death Leaper model to run up into the center of the table, score an objective like Stranglehold or the tertiary on this one, which is holding the middle, and then leave after scoring. My entire army used to be able to do that. Now it's just 1 model. So that's an annoying thing that you have to work around. And yeah, the points efficiency is just kind of brutal.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Where's the weak point, right? Because like normally, there's always got to be some sort of play. There's always got to be some play that has to be had, right? And I'm assuming that the play is what's the range on your shooting? By the way, you said it's short range, yeah?
A lot of it's 24.
So
24 to
I have a lot of 18 to 24 shooting that like, but it's like AP2 1 damage. It doesn't do anything to him.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's taking normal saves.
Think
He can
of
cover
the
everything.
rubrics and cultists
Yeah,
if they're out of cover.
So it
That's
seems to
about
me like the play is kind of just keeping Terminators 24 inches away. Make sure you can't get the mortals on them because that would be fucking terrible for me. And I don't know, just shoot. Really play at a distance. And I always try to play at a distance. Maybe I'm just like I don't know. I don't have a strong will enough to push forward, but I don't think this is really the matchup to be pushing forward.
So the $1 million question here is because of the mission. This mission is complicated.
Yes.
This is a hold 1, hold 2. The special rule here is no forward deploys or pregame moves, so you can't use Risen Rubricae on this one. And at the end of the game, whoever holds the middle wins. I say wins.
Yep.
It's like a 17-point swing.
Yep.
Yeah, makes sense.
So if you go second and you can hang back for a while and plink ink at me and not let me get too far ahead on points, and then you boom, turn 5, that's a very good combination.
Yeah, makes sense.
I think in general, if you just stay like 24 inches away from the flying hive tyrant, nothing else is like overly scaring the Terminator, so they can just kind of like sit in cover, shooting away 24 inches from like hella far angles, and then swoop in late game.
24 inches away from the hive tyrant that moves 25 before charging?
Okay, yeah, I forgot your units are down. Maybe you just have to assume that he kills 7 Terminators and then you move on with your life.
Yeah, the guy doesn't kill the whole squad.
I don't know. Yeah, it just feels like, okay, so I have to stand back, but I also kind of want to move forward to try and deny spells. But I guess
You don't get to deny spells.
not even with Magnus. Not even plus
So
why?
if-
Tyler, explain why. Yeah.
So the important spells you'd want to deny are my 5-up Feeling of Pain and my Advance and Charge,
Yeah,
Catalyst and Onslaught.
yeah,
Unfortunately, I have this little rule called Synaptic Link,
yeah.
which is that when my Neurothrope casts a spell, he can cast it on anyone within 12, or if there's a Synapse creature within 12, he can tell that Synapse creature to put that buff on anyone within 12. Or if there's a Synapse creature within 12, he can tell that Synapse creature to put that buff on anyone within 12. And I can chain this out at infinite distance.
Of course, yeah, makes sense. Honestly, yeah, like shit. My bad. I should have figured that out by myself. Honestly, it really just lends itself. And it really makes itself real clear.
Yeah, so what you can do, though, is that Magnus can very effectively deny the offensive powers, because those are like, they have to be close to you to be able to do damage to you.
Yeah.
So he can shut down the Maliceptor real hard if given the opportunity to do so.
Is this like in the situation where, like, if I put all 3, say like both Terminator bricks and the Magnus like right in front of the table, like put it in the center, and it's like, all right, well, deal with it, and it'll take you what 2-3 turns to chunk through them all.
That's what I don't know. I haven't had that happen yet. I played into Thousand Suns twice at Seattle, and both of them played back really hard.
I think that's because it was on GW terrain and they couldn't, like, with their jump, actually do any damage to you.
It was also a 5 objective missions you played them on, right? Where
yes,
it was like they just decided to go for like the triangle castle stranglehold play.
Mm-hmm.
But
like, imagine those same games, Tyler, but instead of like them jumping forward and failing their 9-inch rollable charge, they jump forward, gun down like a squad of warriors and a squad of raveners, and then try to charge you. Like, isn't that a lot scarier?
For sure, but like, man, have I messed up my terrain if that's happening.
You think you can screen out 20 Terminators de-jumping and shooting your giant 50 mil bases on Dawn of War? I would be incredibly impressed if you were able to do that.
I think on the Cathedral table I could do that. Yeah.
All I'm saying, Ian, is look for opportunities to like jump your models and get angles, because the Tyranids don't actually have the best armor saves at the end of the day. So all of your like AP2 bolt guns can actually pick up a lot of their medium infantry. And just removing the number of models and units to have on the table is going to do you a lot of good.
How tanky are these? Is like you said it was the Hive Tyrant that's the scariest one, right? And then you said you had a Maliceptor, or no?
I have a Maliceptor.
And that's pretty scary because that's the one that's casting Onslaught and Catalyst, yeah?
No, that's the Neurothrope in the very back. That's the one that does a whole bunch of mortal output when you get close.
Okay. How tanky is that Neurothrope?
The Neurothrope?
Like, there's a target. If I could like say like the Demon Prince gets to see it, and I get I don't know Zeech's Firestorm, Gaze of Hate, and then say I get a Doom Bolt off of a repeated Witchfire cast from Magnus, and so I get maybe not Doom Bolt because that's not targeted. I think I only have Zeech's Firestorm. So yes, let's say I get Zeech's Firestorm and Gaze of Hate, and then the extra D3 Mortal Wounds. Would that even have like a realistic chance of taking it down?
Yeah, potentially. I have ways to try to mitigate that. You're going to be casting it -1, so you'll be back to neutral. Are T-Sun's casting it +1? Or is that Grey Knights?
+1.
Cool. So you'll be back down to dice. So I have a shot at it at denying you there. It's challenging to get in, but if you pull that off, it's a big deal. I think that's definitely a play that you should try if you have a chance at it.
How many wounds does a Neurothrope have?
6.
Oh, wait, that's not much at all. Wait, okay.
It's just a dude on a 40.
Well, that changes like almost everything. I feel like it feels like there's actually play again because yeah, that I could totally
The
see
problem is you have
flying.
to, those are like, 18-inch range powers?
18-inch range, yes. Oh, they can get buffed by Cabal. To 24.
Only one.
Do they need
though,
line of sight?
Yes.
If it's something to watch out for, if you're playing Tyranids into Thousand Suns, look out for this. But if you see a chance to go for that, totally go for it.
Yep.
If you can knock out the neuro, everything gets a lot harder for bug players. I've also seen a lot of bug players who don't put anyone having secondary onslaught, and oh man, that's
That's not good.
if their neurothrope goes down, that's game. It's not game, but like it's real bad.
Okay. All right. So
Um,
Northrop is like the primary target. Okay, that's interesting. And it's
he
really,
looks like, oh geez,
well. You could show me it later. You don't have to.
he looks like this. If you see this guy on his own, flat.
I've literally seen you run that exact model against me, bro.
He's more of a target of opportunity where, like, if your opponent just wanders into the open with him, then go for him. But don't go out of your way to try to kill this guy.
Really? Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, you can't run 29 inches in charge.
Just because like you can't you're trading the Demon Prince for him. So if you're not like, you got to be really sure that that's gonna work.
I mean, it seems to me like the Demon Prince, the role of the Demon Prince in this list is A, counter charge, and B, doing exactly this, where it charges forward and then gets targeted smites on you, deals like what, on average, literally averages 6 mortal wounds, average 6, which I
Nice.
mean,
Yeah, for sure. What's
Pretty good.
interesting is that like Magnus is weirdly safe if he sits back.
because you don't have your goddamn Hive Guard anymore. God bless, dude.
Indeed.
We are all happy about that.
Yeah. That's true.
So without like I'd have 1 heavy venom cannon and 2 regular venom cannons shooting him. That's it.
That's just
Maybe some death spitters. Yeah. So
But
it'll
not-
do some damage, but it's not Hive Guard, which just aced him.
Okay, so like now, what I'm getting from this is playback. If you need to move, if you try to move forward to try and take the objectives, you're gonna have to be really careful with how you move because you could make against somebody, even say somebody's like a bit of a worse player than you, they might very easily make a mistake about like a line of sight here or there. Because even you, I think, in that now it depends. I think you do make some positional mistakes. I mean, everybody does, right? Everybody makes a positional error like here or there. So like even players at your caliber, they're gonna make those kind of mistakes.
Oh, for sure.
So it's like, yeah, the play really is just playing back. We can kind of just handshake one objective apiece. The second you move forward, I nuke it. I move forward, you nuke me, and whoever gets second kind of wins. And I'm kind of actually happy with a 50-50 against you.
Yeah. If I have to go first, things get really interesting.
Yeah, 'cause then you have to just go aggro into him.
Yeah.
Probably.
I think I deploy terrain, assuming I'm going first, like ready to take some pretty aggressive positioning. The other thing I can do is I can like, if I can be in a sufficiently like slow walking up and then suddenly on turn like top 5, everybody moves out as fast as possible. Like I definitely leave my original High Fleet trait intact, so everyone's going D3+3, and then very suddenly just whoosh. And hope that you can't chew through it in 1 to 2 turns. I might even do it turn 4.
Is that like a 1-turn play? Like you can only do that once?
What?
Like you said that everybody, like you're gonna keep what, that one trait?
Oh, so Tyranids chapter tactics are really funny. They have 2 parts, as many chapter tactics do. Mine is part 1 is +1 AP army wide in combat on the charge, and the second part is army wide advance D3+3 instead of D6. So very good consistent advances. But after I know who's going first, I can trade away the second part of it for one of 10 other options.
Figure. Jeez.
Yeah. None of which are particularly more useful than that would be. So I'd probably keep that.
Okay, so to me it seems like if you're going to be doing that kind of strategy where we both sit back, then maybe it's turn 4 that I just move forward and like pray that you can't take down 2 Bricks Intimidators and Magnus in 1 turn, and then
Yeah. So the
Right.
the actual question here that we have to figure out is the math. Right? That's
True.
what the entire previous episode was about. What are the secondaries that are being taken here? And man, this is a mind game.
Do you take no prisoners? Or,
Yes, take no prisoners against me.
Okay, cool. No prisoners, no problem. I don't think I want to be taking Wrath just because you also have mortal wound output.
But also Wrath is models, not mortal wounds dealt, right?
Well, yeah, but
all the shit
and
is
like-
a lot of wounds.
A lot of my models are 5, 10, 12 wounds.
Okay, yeah. In that case,
Like my
definitely
infantry are 5 wounds.
definitely not. Definitely not. Then that would be a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Plus, no prisoners is just easier. You can score it in all phases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No prisoners. I don't really see myself taking Stranglehold, even though I really like it on 5 objective missions.
So
Because
the
like I
thing
said,
to keep in
the game plan I see myself having is that I'm going to be playing back, and I'm going to wait until late game, and I don't really see myself holding 3 objectives for the majority of the game.
the thing to keep in mind about this mission, it's terrible, first of all. Particularly bad on player place terrain, whereas like there's no way that you can place a piece of terrain on this table such that you can hide while holding an objective.
Yeah.
Because everything's going to be down the middle, so all the objectives are available. The best you can give yourself is cover.
Ooh.
That's not pleasant.
I hate this mission so much.
You have the advantage there, though. You can just shoot him. He doesn't get to
that's
shoot
true.
you, really.
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting.
So
I
no
think-
prisoners, but after no prisoners, what do you take, right?
Yeah, that's the question.
Yeah, you don't have the like trash for retrieve Knockman data, right?
Oh.
No, not really.
Also, Tyler can screen that out.
Yeah, banners is not good.
Yeah,
No.
not good. Ben is terrible. I mean, I guess I could
You
take
have to take
mutate.
something from Warcraft, right?
Yeah, I could take
Mutate?
mutate and just like
They're all
mute-
pretty close.
Yeah, because they're all close. And assuming that I make this play on like turn 4, then I get 3 of them.
Yeah,
That's
except
9
you get a
points.
9 on it. You'd
9
have
is
to
still
pump
pretty good.
Cabal points into making it undeniable, probably.
True.
Yeah, probably. Like, what's better than that, though? I think mutate is the way to go. Mutate, no prisoners,
This is like nothing good.
stranglehold, right? This is a
No.
5 mission.
Stranglehold's terrible. What's dude, this is
I mean,
not
it's
good.
not good, but what
The-
else are we gonna take?
The issue is he doesn't have like the trash for Stranglehold. After like one turn of getting Stranglehold, and then Tyler clears like the cultists and the rubrics, he has to like now commit a real unit with his rubrics.
Oh yeah, that's
So-
definitely true.
It's like turn 2, he's going. You know, if you want to go turn 2, then yeah, fix Stranglehold. But like you're kind of locked into going turn 2.
Yeah, I agree. I should have think. There's like nothing. I mean, how many characters are you running, Tyler? I'm not gonna kill your characters. So why am I asking? Like,
The Tyrant on foot, the Tyrant in the sky, the Neurothrope, and the Death Leaper. So 4.
Assassinates tough. I don't think you ever kill the Walker, really.
I don't think you kill the Walker, and I don't think you kill the Neurothrope. So you're maxing at 6.
yeah, I don't really. That doesn't seem
Is
very good.
Nearthrop's your warlord?
What do I
Yeah.
take? What do I take?
Deploy teleport homers.
So here's the question: what do I take?
Yes,
It's true.
because that might help.
Because the million-dollar question in my mind is, can I take to the last?
Can I take to the last? Ooh.
You can't take to the last and no prisoners, so you got to pick one.
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely
definitely take no
prisoners.
prisoners. Yeah,
I think. What do you have for the last 2 tyrants in the Tyrant Guard?
Yeah,
I think you can get an easy 10 on that.
That's an easy.
I-
10, yeah.
I think I accept that the Flyrant dies and take a 10 onto the last.
I
Yeah,
agree with
so you're
that.
getting 10. What are your other secondaries?
So my other secondaries, I think I can take Stranglehold because I have enough trash to throw away at them.
You also have
I'll
Death
throw
Leaper,
90.
who's
yeah.
invincible.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he's not quite as useful here because there's no second objective that I get to hold for free. So I
Yeah.
need to send a squad basically, but I'll happily throw away
You
a
can
squad
also,
of
like,
Pyrovores every turn. For
One
Stranglehold.
squad of gargoyles hold 2 objectives, right?
A squad of Pyrovores can hold 2 objectives. Yeah. I'm thinking I'm going to spend, like, if we're going to play the sit back game, I'll spend 1 CP a turn, have Pyros go 13. I'll take those 2 objectives. Next, rinse and repeat. Gargs do it, Pyros do it, Ravs do it, whatever.
Are they
Yeah.
on 50s?
Pyros are
Pyros?
in 60s.
60mm infantry. Let's go. Another thing that we didn't really talk about in this matchup, killing his Obsec is going to be important.
True.
I don't know if like maybe that's not that great in this matchup. My experience in the Nids is like their Obsec is 1 or 2 squads of gargoyles and then like some warriors here and there. And for me, the matchup got a lot easier once I killed their Obsec because it's like sure they're contesting the objective, but all I have to do is have 1 troop come tiptoe on and then I steal it from them.
And
Yeah,
on the
that makes
teleport turn, that stuff just dies like hell to bolt guns.
Yeah.
Dies.
Okay, so I'll take Strangle, I'll take to the last, and then probably R&D and just take an 8.
Yeah, he does have off specs, but then he spends CPU.
No, but on the Maliceptor turn, the Gargoyles go 20 and then R&D.
Yep, there you go. Easy 8. Okay,
Yeah,
so Tyler's got a 28 on his secondaries. How are you getting that?
I mean, Wrath of Magnus.
20. I have a 33 on my secondaries.
Oh,
What are you
JK,
getting,
yeah.
28?
I thought for some reason.
I can't match it. I cannot match 33. There's like no way.
Yeah, 33. My bad.
You have to either go second or have a plan to win the primary. And I think you only do that by playing
Moving forward.
aggressively.
Yeah, fuck.
I
So
don't think moving forward, but like doing a teleport Terminators undeniably plus Dark Matter Crystal plus Magnus jumps in and does whatever he can with however many wounds he has left. I think that's what you got to do. And I think
on like turn 3, you mean?
I think it's like turn 1 or 2.
Yeah, I think you say, hey, here's all the meat. Show me what you got.
Yeah.
And if I can execute perfectly, I can probably get it. But that is asking a lot of me as a player, and not a ton of you. Right? You get to play that game pretty comfortably. There's nothing too crazy about it.
Yeah, especially because on the turn you jump in, like if you execute things right, or if your opponent leaves you a hole or something, you're picking up like a unit of warriors and a unit of raveners. I think, at least.
Yeah, for sure.
Ending mortal wounds, like you can slam them for a lot and be like, yeah, the only way you're gonna kill Terminators is with Hive Tyrants. So come and get some.
Mm-hmm. And I'm taking to the last, so now you're baiting out both Tyrants at once. Like I have to send them both in. I have to. There's just no way to win the game right.
All right, yeah, then that makes sense. In that case, yeah, maybe it is really just play aggressive. Maybe the 1,000 Suns is like the aggressive list, bro. Maybe I just play aggressively every matchup and just sit in the middle of the table and be like, "Come at me, bro." Maybe not. I don't know. That would be a really terrible idea against Lukas. I could see him smiling.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
into orcs.
I
He
do
will lose the
don't
game
do that.
the instant he was.
The orc matchup is not a bad matchup for you. Like it's uphill for Lukas for sure. But the moment you park 20 Terminators 6 inches off his line, like he's licking his chops.
Yeah, Lucas told me. I'm pretty sure Lucas, you told me that orcs is like pretty good into 1,000 Suns.
They are pretty good in 1,000 Suns.
Yes.
Getting conflicting information. I don't know how trustworthy you people are.
That being said, if you're playing an orc player and it's not Lukas, like they're probably memeing, so you won't have an issue.
You'll probably be okay.
So we're thinking Stranglehold, no prisoners, and then something like mental interrogation or whatever.
Yeah. No. What was what else did we say?
I like mental a little more than mutate. If you're just gonna be like ooga boogaing towards them.
That's fair.
But like mutate feels like such a comfy 12 to me.
12.
Yeah.
It was like a hopefully 9, dog.
Yeah, yeah. Hopeful 9 to me.
If he's playing aggressive.
Oh, if I'm playing aggressive, yeah. Actually, I kind of agree with Tyler here. If I'm playing aggressive, then yeah, I can see myself getting 12 here. And there's like the pro of maybe not even being in deny range, whereas psychic interrogation, I'm going to be in deny every single time.
Yeah, just make it undeniable. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, that is the trade off. You're giving up 8 Cabal points for a thing. I think you're going to be in deny range most of the time though with mutate, but
true.
These objectives are close together.
But yeah, I think that's where all your Cabal points are going. Like, what else do you need them for?
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
This is an unfavored matchup, though.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to go in early and try to lock out the primary, especially if you're going first. Probably going aggro right away is
yeah. Right. I had to play this into Nids at Seattle going first, and it was tough.
On this in the next week, I mean, I finished my semester, dude. I'm free. I can play against your Nids anytime you want, Tyler. If you want to practice the 1,000 Suns matchup, because
yeah, for sure.
Played against somebody who plays aggressively.
Yeah, no, I'd love to rack that up and see how it goes. Because, like I said, I know there's gonna be plenty of 1,000 Suns out there, and if I'm gonna run into some of them are gonna play aggro eventually. So
sure,
I'd love to do that.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, you guys should 100% do that.
Let us know.
Go through the different permutations. You know, play a game aggro, play a game defensively, see how it goes.
Yeah. So, Ian, how you feeling? You feeling ready?
No. But I mean, I really don't feel like anything would have made me feel ready. Honestly, like really, I'm just gonna get there, and I mean, it's gonna be what it is, you know. Like I'm gonna get there, probably gonna win 2 against players who have no idea what the hell they're doing, and
just cut that. You're probably gonna win, just like full stop.
Probably gonna win, and then I'm gonna match against somebody who does know what they're doing, and then it's gonna become like an actually difficult time where like. I either I get to stat check them from Armor Contempt and just get a laugh at the poor guard player that somehow made it to 2-0, or I get to get matched versus harlequins and mauled my way to 2-4 after I tilt off the face of the planet.
Go knock out all the other Harlequin players for me, please.
Yeah, whatever happens, I'm sure it's going to be a ball and a biscuit. Very excited to have our first ever tournament where all the I guess we did the first ever major with the entire Best in Faction the Next Generation represented. It's going to be a great time. We're looking forward to seeing y'all there. If you're going to be at BAO, feel free to come on up and say hey, hi. We'd love to hear from you and hopefully get a game in if you're unlucky enough to draw one of the sharks. Oh man, I'm excited. This is going to be a lot of fun. Or Ian, yeah. Also possible.
He's a shark. What do you mean?
I was, bro. Cool.
Dude, what sound does a shark make, Ian?
Nope.
Alrighty, with all that said and done, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed what you liked, please make sure to like and subscribe. If you're interested in supporting the show, we got 2 ways to do that. Either join the YouTube membership to get access to all of our exclusive content. That's a Fight Club After Party. That's all the bit reps that go back there. That's all sorts of other little bits and bobs of bonus content. Part 2 of Chasing the Narrative. It's a great deal. If you want to talk to us more, continue the conversation in person, and by in person I mean online, you can support us on Patreon. $10 a month there gets you access to the best Discord in 40K, where all 3 of us are, and Ian is not yet. We'll see about that.
What's up with that?
That's on you, Ian. You should pay $10 a month to join the best Discord in 40K. But that all being said, thank you so much for listening. I've been Tyler.
I've been Nick.
My face when playing against Thousand Suns.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That one's Lucas. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Ian, for joining us, and we will catch you next time. Signing off.
Later, dudes.
Bye.